Good evening. Hi. Welcome everyone to this very special lore stream that we have. I'm George Trevor. Hi, crimsonhead.com presents lore streams where we will be going through your favorite Resident Evil game and just chatting. No one here pertains to be an expert. You guys are very much the experts with us. We're just passionate about the games and been playing them for far too long. And over the years, we've picked up some, tidbits, some information on the games, the development, things like that, theories. And thank you so much for tuning in. And it's a real privilege for us to be able to discuss this with you. Playing with me, very much the law commentator for tonight. We have BSA Arkley.
Hey, how's it going?
Thanks for joining us. Thank you so much. And as ever, hopefully safely taking us through the mansion, or it won't be a very long lore stream. We've got with us, reporting in, Mr. Sonny Bauer.
Hello, everybody. How we all doing tonight? Got a lot of people coming in here, a lot of new faces.
No pressure.
No pressure at all.
I'll hand over to the other guys to start very soon. I just want to very quickly say I'll be monitoring the live chat and passing on your messages of support to BSA Arkley and of course to Sonny. Thank you, Chaotic Claire, Resident Evil Chick, Bloody Eye Jerry,
awesome.
Reen Bean. Thank you so much for being here. The Boss Fight 9, Sir Watson. Hey, Colin Evo. Thank you. Hey, Colin, how are you doing? Thank you. PC Worth. Hey, thank you very much. PC Worth, very much a supporter of our channel, of course. And no one is as big a supporter as Maria Farina. Hey, Maria. Hope everything's going all right. Thank you. Ivan as well. I think we'll be here all night if I list all the amazing people that are in the chat. We're going to start soon, but I'll keep I'll keep an eye on you guys, so don't worry. Any questions that you've got, of course, for BSA Arkley or the team, will pass on.
Okay,
well, Resident
why
Evil,
don't we get started right now? What do you think?
Go on, you start, and I just want to very quickly thank so much our partners from the Resident Evil podcast. We've got Stars Tyrant, and we've also got Neptune, Nick and Sean in the chat. Thanks, guys. It means a lot. It means the world to me, you joining. Man. And M. Greg, thank you. Thanks, man. Matt, for joining us. Oh, man. Well, M. Greg, listen, I'm expecting some information from you tonight. So, cool. I'll hand over to
so many people I know in the chat. I want to be in the chat now. I want to go to the chat.
Well, you'll be able to chat with them verbally now.
Yeah.
And of course, we won't talk during the cutscenes, guys. So, other than when the cutscenes are on, we'll just be here to hopefully try and entertain you with some of the things we know about the game.
Well, Joe White is here in spirit, so kick us off, Joe.
Resident Evil.
We'll be playing as Jill tonight. I hope I don't have any mods set up, because then the game will look really weird. I doubt I do.
On a technical point, thank you, everyone in the chat. If you can let us know how the game audio is, of course, particularly with this being like a lore commentary, we want to make sure that you can hear BSA Arkley. Not so important that you can hear me, but obviously that you can hear the game and you can hear BSA. So thank you.
Yeah, I can't hear nothing on my end. That's normal, is it?
Oh yeah, we've got the we'll have the game sound down low so that we can hear each other. Colton013, hey, doing well. Saying hi to the guys.
Families being attacked by a group of about 10 people. Victims.
Project Umbrella TV, thank you. I believe that must be Newsbot. Hey Newsbot, thanks for joining us.
To investigate,
Nice.
but we lost contact.
Look, Chris.
Bravo team's helicopter was a derelict. Save for the remaining body of Kevin. We continued our search for the other members, and it turned into a nightmare. this way. Damn it! Make for that mansion!
There are only 3 STARS members left now. Captain Wesker, Barry, and myself. We don't know where Chris is.
What is this place?
Not quite your ordinary house, that's for sure.
Hey, Wesker, where's Chris?
Jill, no! You don't want to go back out there.
But we've got to find...
What was that?
Chris?
No.
Jill, go and investigate.
I'm going with her. Chris and I go back a long way.
All right. You two go. I'll secure this area.
Stay sharp.
Okay, I think we can finally talk. The cutscene's coming to an end. That's a long opening scene. Oh, here we go. We've still got Barry and Jill, haven't we?
A dining room.
You guys still with us? BSA Arclay?
Yeah, I'm here, man. I was just being quiet.
So
That was
something I just wanted to point out in the beginning. That's I'm sure you guys have noticed this, a difference between the HD remaster and the GameCube version. A couple subtleties in that first opening cutscene when they're running away from the dogs. Especially near the end when you see that shot of the dogs and the one jumps at the camera. That didn't happen in the GameCube version. That, for some reason, that fades out early on. Would you have
I
to...
think you'd better take a look at this.
What is it?
Yeah,
Here's the
absolutely.
cutscene again. Yeah, hold on. My bad, I triggered that.
Blood. Jill, see if you can find any other clues. I'll be examining this. Let's just hope it's not Chris's.
Yeah, so I was wondering about that difference. If you might have known something about that BSA Arclay, like, was it something that might have been unfinished that they finished?
No, that's news to me.
Yeah,
Maybe
I wonder
just
if it was
extended it for the port.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I wondered if it was maybe cut due to, I mean, was it particularly graphically violent, the additional bit? I don't know. Question for you, Sonny. Chaotic Claire says that Jill's uniform, I think you know where this is going, looks very colourful.
Yes. Yes.
Why is that?
It is a mod. It is a mod. I forgot who the modder who created the mod, but it is called the Retcon Pack. And what it does is it touches up the details on each of the STARS uniforms, and it recolors Jill's outfit to be the same color blue as the FMVs. It takes away that sort of greenish gray tint that we get in game. So we're a little bit more consistent here.
Nice, easy question for you to start you off with, BSA Arclay. Yeti asks, how many times have you played this game?
I don't know, too many to count. Probably around 20, maybe 30. Quite a bit. It's not my most played game. My most played game is RE5, but it's probably my second most played game. If you go back to the well, you don't need to, but the typewriter.
Yeah.
The typewriters in this game are exactly the same as Resident Evil 4, so it's just a reused texture for the typewriter.
Okay, interesting.
That's exactly the same.
Is
That's
that
why we're
something
here. We're here for the finer details.
And is that something, BSA Arclay, because I know you do a lot of extractions, you know, extracting the textures from various Resident Evil games. Is that something you come across a lot where Capcom, no one's suggesting they're lazy, but is that something you come across a lot, the reused textures?
Yeah, it's in every game, and it can date back. Like you can see things going back for like to the last generation and stuff where they're reusing textures. Doesn't happen as much because they gotta like touch it up and make it look current gen, but it does happen. But you know, if they do in 2 games in a row, like remake 2 and 3, then there was a lot of reused stuff, and they were like putting RE7 stuff in there. You might find some Operation Raccoon City stuff. It's all over, but I don't mind it when it's like just like chairs and tables, and because they got like, I'm looking at these games, and like RE6 in particular, it was like tens of thousands of textures. So I can understand that they don't want to be remaking tens of thousands of textures every single time.
Yes.
It's like when they do the low ones, and then it's like blatantly obvious, like this is RE7 low in Remake 2, like newspapers and like wall scribblings and stuff talking about like Jack Baker, the bakers, and the things they were doing, which, and then it's put into Remake 2, is just a bit jarring for me. So if they just like cut that out, that'd be fine with me.
And I love this room because obviously it's the setting, it's the dining room setting for where Spencer and George Trevor have their kind of almost like his last meal before he's abducted and locked up. And
some 30 odd years ago.
Yeah,
31 years ago. Yeah. I have a question for BSA Arcway. Now some of the pictures throughout the Spencer Mansion, if I recall correctly, are they might be based on real photos.
Yeah, I was looking through them last night. Actually, most of them are real photos. You got like.
Is there any
Napoleon.
significance in this one in particular? With these two guys here, or is this a custom photo?
I didn't see this one in particular, but I'm sure it might be there because there's a lot, just like based on real life things, and like all the credit in the world goes to Welsh on this kind of stuff because he's the one who's like locating them, and he'll just like that clock back there. He's found, like, you can see the texture for the clock, the insides of the clock. And Welsh has literally found the actual clock they used, and then he's like remastered it for his own. He was working on his own project, so he just manages to find insane things like that, just like looking online. And he's asked me to do a few, and I'm just like, nah, I don't know how the hell you can do that. Like,
it's very interesting.
That picture up there, which I love, of the two swordsmen, that's custom made, but almost, as you say, Sonny, and BSA Arclay points out, almost every single portrait in the Spencer Mansion is a texture from a real life painting. And I know you're right, it was Joel Welsh, but also Ridley as well put together. There's a fantastic there's a fantastic thread at Project Umbrella. I'll put a link in the live chat where they've identified all these paintings across the world and put up their real life renditions so you can compare the two. And there's a great thread at Project Umbrella, kind of a treasure hunt of all these paintings and their sources, which I'll put in the chat.
Okay, cool.
Can I add about the wooden emblem as well?
Yeah, go ahead.
On the wall there. I never actually knew this, but it's writing going around the outside of the emblem, and translated it says, "While there is life, there's hope."
Oh, very interesting.
Is it Greek? What is the language around that?
I have no idea.
Oh, there we go.
That's what it translates to. While there is life, there is hope.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, how many of you in the chat knew that? I didn't even know that until just now. Very interesting detail.
And it's all those little details that kind of add extra dimension to the game. Like, I mean, in this room, for example, I said, this is where George Trevor has his like fateful last meal with Spencer. And if you get the book that was released with limited edition book that was released with Biohazard, the port onto the Saturn in Japan in limited numbers, it was released. A lot of you may know the book True Story behind Biohazard that came out with the Saturn version in Japan. And you've got the George Trevor letters in that book, and I just really love the fact that in on the night that George Trevor spends having dinner in this dining room, he looks up and it references the statue up on the first floor there, and how it's staring coldly down at him. And I think that kind of alludes to the purpose of the George Trevor letters, that they were kind of thrown into the game. I think you can speak more about this, BSA Arclay, initially to kind of give players clues and hints to the various puzzles around the mansion.
Just to interject really quick about the emblem, Maria Farina in the chat says that they're Greek letters.
There you go.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks.
Thanks, Maria.
Yeah, thank you for that.
What was you just saying? Sorry.
Talking about the statue from the second floor. I guess the one that you push over.
The Trevor's notes. Yeah, if you read
Yes.
Benny Matsuyama from the remake Kaitai, it's been translated at Project Umbrella. Is it like a mini novel in there? And the novel basically explains that Jill uses Trevor's notes to solve the puzzles throughout the mansion. So that's like a canon explanation.
I didn't know that. That's very interesting. So she found the notes, and then she uses it to kind of like just lead her way through this trap-infested nightmare.
Yeah.
Essentially. Wow, that's very cool. Dare I bring this up? Dare I bring up this controversial matter right here before we go meet that first zombie? There's been obviously even around the Twitterverse occasionally theories. Maybe we'll ask the chat this one to see what their opinions are. But whose blood is this on the floor right here?
I'm not getting involved.
That's not why you're here. That's not why you're here.
Okay, I'll be right back. I think that guy posted a really good video on it the other day, which is suggesting that it could be the zombie. But then again, there's a lot of evidence to support that it could be Kenneth. Like if you look on the wall just to the right of Jill there's like this big scratch going along the wall, which looks like it could be a stray bullet from when Kenneth was fighting the zombie. And you can see, if you look at the carpet as well, it's like moved to the side, like there was a struggle there.
Yeah.
Reen Bean and Celtic Claire, they're voting with Kenneth as well, and mentioned Celtic Claire says Kenneth perhaps because he's next door.
Yeah. I always just see I liken this to the original game, which I know that one of the examples were removed, but I just liken it to the fact that it's a foreshadowing that you're about to meet one of your dead Bravo members, just kind of like the blood that was smeared in that hallway in the original game, leading up to the balcony on the second floor to Forrest Speyer, which obviously we know has been removed from this game, but that's what I always took it as it was a foreshadowing, leading to one of your dead teammates. But here we go. Let's trigger this thing, shall we?
Good point, Maria Farina. Oswald E. Spencer loved Greek mythology and classical culture, so yeah, that kind of fits nicely with some of these things being Greek.
Yeah, I think he was an animal lover too, because he's got dogs and bird cages and everything.
I think this is quite common knowledge now, and BSA Arkley, you were very instrumental in us kind of procuring and being able to present this.
Another cutscene, GT, just to interject.
What is it?
Thank you.
Look out! It's a monster!
I was going to reference Mr. Lightbulb Head there.
Oh, yeah.
Take care of it. What the hell is this thing?
I found Kenneth killed by this thing. Let's report this to Wesker.
So yes, I think his nickname was Mr. Peruke, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, because that was a make of fluorescent lighting in Japan at the time, and the developers, I think Mikami-san, and I always pronounce his name incorrectly, and you point out that I pronounce it like a state in America. RT.
Iowa. I think it's Kenichi Iwao.
Yeah, thank you. I should just call him Kenichi. You know, we're on first name terms.
Is it really? I didn't know.
Well, because it's spelled Iwao, so I would think it was Iwao instead of Iowa. I don't.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know. Yeah.
Whatever it is, it's not how I'm pronouncing it. But yeah, that's Mr. Peruke, that very first zombie, Mr. Lightbulb Head.
Mr. Lightbulb Head. Well, there you go, Mr. Peruke. That's his name. They were taking a poll. I think it was like a Road member had put something on Twitter. What do we think this zombie's name is? And they were like going throughout all different names and stuff. So it's Mr. Peruke. There we go.
That's the official nickname, yes.
All right, we're about to come upon another revelation in the main hall here.
Wesker!
Just quick note, if you look at the ceiling, I'll talk about that in a minute.
Jill, what we look for. Let's not leave this hall.
Good idea.
Okay. So we're looking up at the ceiling here, yeah.
Okay. In the main hall, if you check out the ceiling, again, credit to Welsh on this one, but you managed to find the Santa Iglesia Cathedral in Malaga, Spain. It's if you Google that, look it up. It's basically exactly the same ceiling, and they also used like walls, arches, pillars, and all stuff like
wow.
that. So
What was the name of it again?
Santa Iglesia Cathedral in Malaga. You just type in Malaga, Spain Cathedral. It's the main one. So yeah, and they use a lot of materials from that building in particular, and like other places in Spain as well. I think Spain was probably one of the most inspirational countries to remake. You got like stained glass windows and stuff, which you took from an art gallery. Yeah, and like Spain and France seem to be like big influences on Capcom's architectural stuff. They also do a bit of Europe as well, but they also like use a home base, because I found a lot of locations are in Japan, because it's obviously they can just like scout in Japan. It's a lot easier, but they do trips as well to abroad and stuff, and take photos for references and stuff.
Yeah, that's always surprised me, because again, we're referencing this chap quite a lot. It's unfortunate he's not here to join us. Maybe another time. But Joel Welsh, big contributor to the Project Umbrella.
You can't talk about Bio 1 without Welsh.
Yes, he'll often, it surprises me. He will locate, various sort of rocks and things around here. But I mean, as you know, you can mention there's a castle in Wales where they use the rocks and the stones.
There's 4 castles in Wales. I've been to one.
And it's fascinating. So they would have taken this trip, these Japanese developers, all the way over to Wales. I mean, what's so special about the rocks in Wales? They've got to be a remake. But yeah, shout out to Wales.
All right, before we go to our next point,
Bristol as well. So that's where you live.
Yeah, I know. Well, Joel was asking me to drive to London to again for a building in London that again had textures used taken from it. Photographs. So I mean, maybe it's just quite a good excuse for the developers to kind of take a trip around the world.
All right, I'm going to trigger just this cutscene here, and then we should be pretty free for a lot of the run.
No, nothing. What's going on around here? I can't figure it out.
Same here.
Chris, and now Wesker.
There's not much we can do. We can search for him separately. I'll investigate the dining room again.
Okay, then. I'll try the door on the other side.
This mansion is gigantic. We could easily get lost. Let's start from the first floor.
Okay.
Oh! I almost forgot. It's a lockpick. You'd make better use of it.
Thanks. I may need it.
Listen, if something happens, let's meet up in this hall. Got it?
Okay.
Okay, so we should be pretty free to roam now.
I just wanted to very quickly say, we've also got from the Crimson Head team, we've got the Oracle Dragon. Hey Oracle, who's in the chat, thank you for joining us. And ready to Dracaris any spam bots, but making sure everyone's very welcome. And I just wanted to very quickly welcome Miss Eileen Valentine. Thank you so much for joining us. Luigi, again, thank you. The Boss Fight 9. And I do believe we Susie Sphere Hunter has popped in to say hi as well. Hey Susie, thank you for joining us. And Vacant Flat, thank you very much. Hey Vacant, hope you're well. I know you're a big fan of the Spencer Mansion.
If you spot the window right there as well, that window is left ajar. If you check all the windows in the mansion, they're all basically left open, which is like a really nice detail, because when the virus originally, when the outbreak originally started, it was airborne, so they've just like opened up all the windows of the mansion to try and like clear that shit out, but obviously it didn't go well for them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's interesting, because wasn't that that was found out pretty late, wasn't it? Because typically, like throughout the fandom for many years, we didn't think that the virus was very much airborne. We thought that was something maybe restricted to the movie verse, like the Paul Anderson verse, right? It was found out a little bit later, like through translation or something like that, maybe.
Yeah, possibly. It would have come from the one of the Bio 1 guides. Maybe we did it later on. It was the inside of Biohazard, probably.
Okay. Okay, interesting. Because I mean, me personally, I found that out pretty late, but that could have just been me coming to it late. I was always under the impression that the virus was more like going through the water supply and stuff like that. But when I found out that it was actually originally airborne, I was like, oh, okay, that's another neat additional detail.
Yeah, maybe it was added for remake. I'm not sure on that. I'll have to check that. But I do know that it was originally airborne, and then over time it kind of got weaker, and then it became like transferable through bites and stuff. And then eventually it just stopped. Like, and it was it was no good anymore. But it's kind of weird because it says that's why like Jill and Chris can get bitten and not be infected, but then Forrest turns into a zombie, so it's a bit of a
random thing.
Can I just say go on.
I was just going to say, in the Benny Matsuyama novel again, Kenneth gets back up and starts walking around with his throat torn out in front of Jill, which is not in the game, but...
That's interesting.
Wow.
Yeah, I didn't know about that.
If you imagine, like, my brain is just like, if you imagine each portion is like a little man doing something, I've got like all these men, thousands, running around in my head. There's so much going on at the moment. I've got so much I want to say about the game. BSA Arclay,
I'm sorry, I'll shut up for 5
No.
Okay.
You're making so many great points. We've got some fantastic things going on in the chat. I've got to say, the Sphere Hunter, Susie the Sphere Hunter, thank you so very, very much, has gifted 5 subs to just allow 5 fans to kind of enjoy and support us even more. Thank you very, very much, Susie. I really, I've forgotten their names, so I'm so grateful.
I'll get it. We've got a gift sub to Miss Eileen Valentine, the Project STEM, Trick 29, the Only CC, and the Lunar Sin. So all of you have just been infected and have just become zombies. So enjoy that tier 1 emote of Mr. Peruk, actually. So there you go, bald zombie.
Thank you, Susie, and Nighthawk as well has gifted subs, and Bloody Eye Jerry again has gifted subs as well this evening. Thank you very, very much, guys. Thank you.
Tell me about the shackles.
I wanted to point out very quickly,
okay.
Interesting, because I've always wondered something that you came up with a good theory for, BSA Arkley. Across the way from that birdcage, there's those oddly placed, I thought, kind of oddly placed chains.
Shackles. Yeah, I was just about to ask the same question. Yeah, I was going to say, tell us about those shackles, BSA Arkley, because this is the first Spencer estate where we've seen stuff like this, but it's not the last one where we've seen shackles like this. Anything that you could add to that?
There's a little bit. Oracle actually made a good. I think we brought these shackles up on a podcast, and I suggested maybe it was some way they just like tortured people, but you don't really see that in the mansion, so it doesn't make a lot of sense. But Oracle Dragon then added that it was perhaps for Lisa Trevor. And I thought, well, maybe they're a bit thin for Lisa Trevor, but if you look in Lisa Trevor's layer, there is actually identical shackles, same to those, in the layer. So
nice.
It kind of matches, so it could be Lisa.
Yeah.
But and with her wandering around, it would be quite strategic to have.
It's always kind of strange that she just wanders around and they just let her, and I don't know.
she kind of doesn't leave the area. She just stays kind of. In that forest area, her lair.
She just goes over there and stays over there. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just very, very interesting. Now, I think like an additional question I would have is what is it about? Because this isn't the only location in the series, and it's not the only it's not the only I guess person or researcher or employee of Umbrella that seems to be attached to torture. What do you think was appealing to Spencer about torture? Because it seems with the other estate in RE5, he even had prison cells and torture devices and stuff like that as well.
Yeah, it's European, and he's I don't know if it's a historical thing. He's into his architecture and twisted art and stuff. And if you look at what's that rich family? I forgot the name. Damn it! There's a rich family in Europe, and they're quite well known. and the
Not the Rothschilds.
the Rothwells, yeah,
Rothschilds, yeah.
yeah. If you look at the Rothwells, they've got a mansion in France which looks pretty similar to the outside of this mansion.
Oh well, because I've always looked, because there's that Germany. Chaotic Claire, please help me out, because I don't want to slaughter your language with my appalling
Nickwistein, yeah.
Now that it's stunning. That castle in Germany, is a source for the paintings in the Spencer Mansion that describe that there are paintings. Oh, have we got a cutscene?
No cutscene.
Yeah, the paintings in the mansion, aren't renditions of the outside of the mansion as we see it. They're a texture of that castle. Oh, I'm not going to pronounce it. Please, someone else pronounce it. Thanks, Celtic Claire, for putting it in the chat. No, I've always wondered to see an actual photo representation source for, how the Spencer Mansion actually looks to our eyes. So, yeah, that's interesting that you think that's where it comes from.
If you look around these corridors, I did put a theory on your G forum, but I don't know if it's still there. But basically, if you start as Jill or Chris or whoever, doesn't matter. But you got the one person, you got that window which is left half ajar by Kenneth. And I always theorized that Chris came in through that window, and then he came up the stairs, and there's a dead zombie laid against the wall, which one of them shot in the head. Then they came up the stairs, into this room, and then if you come straight into this room, there's another zombie on the floor.
Which
and then if you look
the first Crimson Head. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's put down 2 zombies now, and he's carrying on. And if you look, the chair up there is smashed and it's all over the floor, like there was a struggle. That candle is knocked over.
Yeah.
There's just like signs that somebody came this way, and I don't know if it was like a researcher, or maybe it was Chris or Jill in the other, what we're not seeing.
Yeah.
There's the head.
That's
painting.
That's a very interesting theory.
Yeah.
Very imaginative. I'm intrigued by stuff like that. It's always about the stuff you don't see.
And if you go to that door straight in front of you, then that's locked from the other side, so that's where their journey would have ended. They got to the other side of that door and locked it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's true, because this one you have to unlock. So.
Yeah.
That's what I absolutely love about these pre-rendered backdrops, that you then have these, kind of... You have to, decorate them with, with these extra, environmental things. So you've got, the dead bodies, and you've got, the changing things. And you can build a story, as BSA Arclay just has done, just from pinpointing these various items that we see, that perhaps we don't get with the the 3D moving camera and that you just kind of you miss when you go away from these pre-rendered backgrounds. So I love that the way that you've kind of joined the dots and fashioned that. Yeah. I
a bit too much time on my hands then.
One of the things you do get, when you do extract from these game discs that was kind of a bit of a disappointment for me, is this window that you're looking at now, the stained glass window. Yeah. I love the description that it's a pattern of a witch, but if you actually bring up the texture for that and study it, it's just like a very pretty plant. Which is kind of a bit of a disappointment, but it kind of I don't know if it's the eye kind of tricking me because of the description, but you feel like you can see the kind of the outline of some sort of witch character, but no,
it's possible. I mean, there have been things in the past, because I think even in the developer diaries for HD Zero remaster, that they had to like rename something or take a sign down in the train because it didn't say what it said it was going to say, because all the textures were blurry in the past. Yeah, like for the dining car or something like that.
You can get away with it when there's a blur or a fog, but yeah, you're right. Yeah, when you do the HD remaster, and suddenly you see that. Well, I mean, we've seen it with the HD Seamless project of the the HD remasters, Seamless project for 2 and 3. Those wanted pictures in the RPD are actually the cast from
Back to the Future 3 and stuff. Yeah, it's crazy.
Well, maybe what wanted for crimes against acting, I don't know, but
So this was the statue that you were talking about, you were referring to in the Trevor's notes, right?
Yeah, Trevor looks up at that in Trevor's notes and kind of, I don't know verbatim, there's a reference to, it looking coldly down at him.
Which is funny, because in this, it's facing away from the dining room table.
Yeah, until you're about to, lob it. And I think most people probably know this, that if that you don't have to push it down. That if you go all the way to the point where the hunters first enter the Spencer mansion, you'll then come across it already pushed over and smashed. Presumably by the hunters that are marauding.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. It's almost like a reward that you get if you don't do it yourself. It's like, we'll just do it for you.
Yeah.
Like you were saying earlier though, about the backgrounds, it is great because we get to explore, we get to see more detail in these backgrounds than maybe you would on like current gen. But the downfall of that is you get to check the textures and stuff. Like I can check the textures for RE7 and basically see everything, but with remake you can only see like items you can interact with, like doors or things you can pick up, something that might move in the background. But the majority of this main hall is all pre-rendered, so it's not included in the game. It's just a map which lays on the background.
Right. Gotcha.
So you can't. It's just a bit of a shame you can't investigate it a bit more.
Yeah.
But it's totally worth it. So
it's interesting how that used to work back in the day. How they used to lock and just paint over it and stuff like that.
Yeah, because I remember the first time I ripped it and I was like, well, I haven't done this right. It's missing everything, but that's why.
Yeah.
Nighthawk.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
If I can interject, thank you guys. Nighthawk, thank you very, very much. He just gifted his third sub of the evening to Sean, to Mr. Star's Tyrant, a very well deserving member of the community. Thank you. Look forward to seeing you more often now, Sean. Yeah, you've got free entry into the Crimson Head channel. You've
just become a zombie, so enjoy that tier 1 emote.
You've got a very smart emote there. Yeah.
So I have a question. Is there possibly any additional information about the addition of this back area? We don't get to see this in the original game. Is there something about this that was this a cut area that didn't get to make it into the original game? Was it totally new?
Kind of. It's like the graveyard. If you left here, you see a big fat zombie. No, I'm not talking about him. This graveyard area is kind of like reused from the original, but it's not the same as it was in the original. But it's actually massive as well. I just posted this on my Twitter the other day, and like the graves stretch from the middle of the mansion where you are right now to the right hand side of the mansion.
Yes.
So there's like thousands of graves all like lined across, but I don't know like if it's victims or researchers or what, I don't know. But
yeah, it'd be very odd for a cemetery to kind of just be right next to this big mansion in the middle of the woods, like in nowhere, like the middle of nowhere, right? It's very odd. Yeah.
And the graves are like not Greek. The gravestones, the writing, it's like Hebrew or something. Again, it's like it kind of fits with Spencer's theme, so maybe that's proof that it's like Spencer and it wasn't there before. Like,
I'm going to be very nerdy and say that I'm familiar with Hebrew. It doesn't look Hebrew to me. I thought they were Greek. I don't want to correct you because they may not be Greek, but
you can correct me. I'm not sure.
I know the inscriptions. I believe we might. Someone in the chat can tell us. I believe were Greek. I know that this is one of the areas that was completely redone from scratch for the remaster, as opposed to some of the other areas are just simply cleaned up from the original, remake on the GameCube. This whole entire area was redone for the remaster.
Down here in the depths with the casket and everything.
Yes.
There you go. The Book of the Dead. I just posted about that as well.
Yeah, if you want to bring up the detail, that I see. I mean, it shows you can stare at this stuff 1,000 times as I have done and still miss things. And I missed the fact that it was a really interesting point you observed the other day, BSA Arclay. The spine of this book is literally like the bones of some sort of obscure type animal, but it's a spine from something living.
Yeah. I can't look at it anymore. I should have waited to. I should have looked at it.
Fine.
Yeah, but
I'll put a link to your Twitter page, BSA Arclay, because you've got a great picture that you've put up on there of that book.
Yeah, that's because it was like something you could interact with and pick up. So, like this whole area as well. GT. This is Chepstow Castle, which is like a lot of this was taken from this castle, which is right by your house. So you got no excuse, man.
I've tried to get away from that Spencer, but no, I can't get away from him. Okay.
You'll never be able to get away from him. He'll
I'll
be
have
with
to
you
go-
forever.
I'll try and make it down to Chepstow Castle, and if I can, I'll take some pictures. And
Yeah, well, I can meet you there. It's not that far from me. It's literally like in between us. So
Joshua Tile says in the chat, do you guys have any criticisms with this game?
with the remaster, I think they could have this is a lot of problems with the water. They didn't really touch it. Like if you see the scene where they drain the fountain, it's really poor. Like
it's still a very foggy FMV.
Yeah, I got some problems with the remaster, and like I said earlier, Welsh was doing his own version, and it was just amazing. Like I didn't think Capcom did that bad of a job. I thought they just could have done like some areas a bit better. But when you compare it to like people like Welsh were able to create, it's just like another level. It just looked real, like when this still looks like a video game. Like
there's a lot of stuff. I'll let you in on another thing here, BSA Arcway. I'm using the this is not the standard HD remaster. This is an ongoing mod as well. Called the AI Upscale mod, and it's being done by a modder called Shuryu, I believe is their name. So a lot of this stuff is touched up even more right now.
I got like a tiny screen, so I'm sorry I can't.
Yeah, no, I get it. Yeah, but a notable difference, though, I'm sure that you'll be aware of is the Aqua Ring, because the Aqua Ring kind of didn't.
I was waiting for someone. Yeah,
that's an area of water, and I don't know what it is water, but they just couldn't do it. And it's the same in the Zero remaster.
It must have been.
But I think
it must have been like pre-rendered.
A lot of the environmental features are FMVs, aren't they? That are kind of stuck on top of the pre-rendered static background. So, would it be that whilst they can improve the backgrounds, enhance them or just redo them from scratch like they did with, I shouldn't call it George Trevor's tome. It's the Crimson Head Elder zombie tomb.
It's simply the fact that I guess they were trying to. It was a conflict of like animated assets versus static assets, I guess, and maybe when trying to repaint those and blend them together, it just didn't work out too well.
I think the FMVs, because they've stayed with the original, so those are going to be no higher than 480. I'm really treading into territory that is too technically involving for me. I'm looking, for example, at Stars Tyrant and Nick Neptune in the chat for this technical stuff, but wouldn't the original FMVs that they've stuck on top, like the moving water, things like that, the fire effects, they would all be at 480? But then no, because all these flames, the candles, they look fantastic. The dynamic lighting is amazing. But no, you're right, B.S. Oakley, the water and a lot of those effects, so, the original FMVs, when you cross, when Jill, does the crank and lets the water out and you cross, it's the originals and it looks appalling.
Well, like you said, the tomb area is like a big. You got the shadows moving and stuff because the spinning cogs. So every time the shadow moves, they need a different texture. It's like claymation. Like you move it gradually, so you need a texture for when the shadows say like 90 degrees, and then when it moves to 130, you need a different texture for it. So they need like 10 different textures just for one room. Just for 10 texture maps, like the backgrounds, just for one room. So you can have that flickering effect, like.
Now, M. Greg asked a common question. People, and I thought this would be the case when I first played the game. Do we know for certain that George Trevor is not the Crimson Head Elder? I think a very simple answer to that question is the date that George Trevor, perished during, sort of the late 60s. 67 is when he goes to the mansion before the creation of the T-virus. The V-Act process that the Crimson Elder goes through, and that's why he was imprisoned as the first kind of example of that. So George Trevor died long before the Crimson Elder was produced by that virus that wasn't in existence during George Trevor's time.
This is true.
Oh, here we go. PS1 was 240 remake. There's yeah. If anyone, rather than I read it, anyone who's interested in those technical points we were talking about the FMV, Stars Tyrant and Nick have put some very useful information about that. What Stars Tyrant says, what they've done for the remaster is essentially either remake the entire room in 3D, like the birdcage corridor, or elements like the candle flame or moving leaves branches are 3D laid over a now static background. Stars Tyrant says, if you go back to the GameCube version, there's more animation in certain areas. Likewise in Zero, in the opening train section.
Yeah, for some odd reason, that actually upset me because I didn't notice the difference at first until I was shown the comparison video. But the trees, like there's shadows of the trees right outside the train, and the trees are moving. And in the HD remaster, they're just static. I guess they couldn't get them to animate or something. Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Like dogs come through the window in this section, but originally they wanted to have bays. So
bears.
Yeah.
What bears? Bears smashing through the window. So was that something that they thought? Sorry, Bears out. Okay, is that something that was like a prototype idea for the original or for the remake?
For the remake, they were going to replace Cerebus with bays. So.
Wow.
You would have had a base smash in this window.
I remember there were quite a few fans in the community that I don't know, just randomly just talking about what kind of monster would you have liked to have seen like in the Arclight Forest, or maybe something new to I think it was for RE0 or remake, and they were saying having the Stars members be attacked by a grizzly bear. So it's very interesting that almost actually made it into the game.
Yeah. And I think it would have been really cool in this area and outside by Lisa's cabin as well. So I don't know if they would have jumped through this window. I'm just speculating, but they were considering replacing Cerebus with bays.
And again, referencing that interview that we had with Kenichi, Iwao.
Iwao.
Thank you. Oh no, it wasn't. I mispronounced that when I didn't even need to. It was slightly easier to pronounce. Kazuhiro Aoyama, the director of Resident Evil 3, he worked he got that got the gig as director for Resident Evil 3 because of his fantastic work supporting the development team for the original Biohazard, and it was Aoyama-san who came up with the idea of having the dogs bursting through the windows there. So as we know, Shinji Mikami, hands all over the original, but that one of the most iconic scenes across the whole series, the Cerberus bursting through the windows there, that was Kazuhiro Aoyama, Biohazard 3 director, that conceived and envisaged that. So
now I think this is a fan theory right here, but there was a theory that this zombie right here was based on Shinji Mikami.
I can point you to the zombie that is. You're right, there was a zombie based on Mikami, but going back to Kenichi's interview, the zombie, and I think that's why I think he may be wearing original clothes that's not worn by any other zombie. The zombie you get in the corridor where you've got is it Kenneth with his video that you pick up? In that corridor, you've got that one lone zombie standing just by the room with the piano in it.
I think that's the same model. I think that's the same model as the one in this tub here, the brown-haired zombie.
Because he's wearing a green jacket. I think his clothes are different though. It's the same. If you check him out, I'm pretty sure he's wearing original clothing to anyone else. And I'll drop a link in the chat. People can correct me if I'm wrong, but it mentions in that interview that the Shinji Mikami zombie, is that chap in that first corridor.
Anything to add on that one, BSA Arclay?
No, that's news to me.
Yeah, I honestly think it was just a fan theory. I'm not even sure how much weight it that there is to it.
When we go back there, check
a look in a minute.
Now, BSA Arclay, you can speak more about this. There was a cut character from the original game. Two cut characters, which I think a lot of people will be pleased were cut, because one was bringing a lot of kind of jarring comedy. It was the Murphy character that was seen, was described perhaps not in the most politically correct way at the time, but was going to be an Eddie Murphy type character, giving the comedy. He was dropped, and then wasn't it Gelzer, the super strong cyborg? Wasn't he meant to come in and hold up this wall?
Yeah, he was basically Barry, but a cyborg. And he was like a traitor as well. That's where the Barry betrayer angle kind of comes from. But when this ceiling collapses on Julia, instead of shooting the door open or pulling whatever, kicking it in, he'd hold the ceiling up for Jill.
Yeah, it was a lot more. It was a little more over the top than
Yeah.
the grounded nature that Iwao ended up writing for.
Yeah, there was a lot of over the top stuff in the original version, and Iowa kind of came in and like cleaned it up, like.
Well,
made
you're
it a
saying,
lot
yeah,
better.
that's a good point. Cleaned it up. I mean, one of the things I really loved about this game wasn't so much I was into the zombies or the virology. It just felt like a very haunting, very haunting, spooky mansion, and it was almost like a treasure hunt, like an investigation that you were going through, and. So those sorts of comedy, kind of hamming it up, almost sort of campy things, just would have completely taken you out of that, that haunting environment.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right, Bloody Eye. They wanted Barry to be black, and Mikami immediately struck that down.
Opposed it, yeah.
Yeah. Well, no, sorry, no, it wasn't Mikami. It wasn't. It was.
It was Kamiya.
Yeah, it was Kamiya.
Yes, yeah. Because I remember not being too surprised when I found out who the culprit of that change was. Yeah.
There was actually a character in 3.5 which was going to be black as well, and Kamiya opposed that too. So,
which is very interesting because Edward Dewey was originally one of the 4 characters, just like Gelzer, and he was going to be based on Eddie Murphy.
Yeah, Eddie Dewey back then, but
Eddie Dewey, right?
He was basically the comedic guy. He later became obviously Edward,
Right.
and then it was Gelza. There was some other characters as well. If you check out, if you go to Crimson Head, and let me just look it up. Sorry.
Well, while you're
I wanna
doing
send
that,
you to the right place.
yeah.
While you're doing
that,
hold on. I just want to say that for everybody in the chat, this is where I go in the Crimson Head Elder Mansion. I just take the shotgun off the wall and I make the ceiling come down so that I escape GT, and I can just come in here and play video games whenever I want to. I brought my own TV and everything.
I had a theory about this room. Do you think they take people into this room here and they have like a discussion? Maybe they feel someone's betrayed them or something, or they like interrogating someone, and then if they like don't hear what they want to hear, they hear all the wrong answers, then they leave. Take the shotgun with them, and then the guy's stuck in the room, and in between the 2 rooms and gets crushed.
It's very interesting, right? Because it's very much like that. With the one researcher that sort of tries to let George Trevor know that there's something up, and then Spencer catches wind of that, and he has him go get him the shotgun, quote unquote, from the lounge or whatever, and he does, and the ceiling trap just comes down, and it gets him.
Even more, you're right. I want to mention something about this fireplace before you move on, but Sonny, you're right. But even more,
let me go back in there
on what you just said in those George Trevor notes. You then see there's a reference to that researcher being dead, like I'm sure Trevor sees like hair or the remnants of I'll have to go back.
He's a redhead, so he sees red hair and blood.
Yeah, it was one of his like trademark features, one of his defining features that would make you notice who it was, because pretty much when Trevor's walking past the room, after the day that he talks to that researcher, he sees that there's a couple like attendants or assistants cleaning up just like a large like dark stain, in the middle of the floor, and there's bits of red hair, amidst that giant stain. Yeah, it just makes you shudder thinking about it in general.
Now, BSA Arkley, you posted up extractions, all the backgrounds from this game, and there are shots of this room which kind of mysteriously, tantalizingly suggests that this fireplace was originally meant to be lit, because it's almost illuminated from within, and that was an observation that was detected by Vacant Flat, who's in the chat and posted this up at the Crimson Head forum. And we actually were able to kind of use some of the shots that you had extracted, the backgrounds of this room, where that fireplace, whether there was a kind of a gameplay mechanic where you had to light it, definitely is at one point illuminated, and more not just from the lightning. I don't know if that's something that you'd noticed before.
I think I've seen someone posting about it. Yeah. I didn't notice it at the time though. Yeah, that's a nice observation.
We've had a couple of questions about the hunters. I know Neptune asks about the Red Hunter, and can we, hurry up and get to that scene? Whether
yeah, that ain't happening today. We're already at the 1 hour mark, and you honestly think we're gonna get out of the mansion today? No way.
And something I've never heard of, guys. Have you ever heard of this? Ivan, hi Ivan, thanks for joining us from Portugal. I was going to say all the way from Portugal. I mean, you haven't had to travel here. I am aware of Wi-Fi. Ivan asks. Is it true that the hunters are all females?
Yeah. They were a female embryo, so.
And that was that like a mix of human and what other?
Yeah, human and reptile.
Do we know what type of reptile, or is it just?
No, it was homeless people and reptile DNA mixed together. And it was like one of the most successful BOWs. When they created the hunter, they basically didn't expect it to be as good as it was, and like when they created it, it had like thick skin with like Kevlar fibers. It's like a bulletproof jacket basically, and the intelligence was like the same as an orangutan. Yeah, and then they cloned a small number of them before the mansion incident took place. So that's where these the hunters you were seeing are some of the first clones.
Okay. And again, I mean, this picture there that you're walking past, all these pictures. I dropped the link to Project Umbrella where you can find all the the original sources of these pictures. But they look fantastic in this HD remaster.
Yeah, some of them I can't prompt. Yeah, some of them I can't prompt. Some of them I can.
And BSA Arkley, interested your thoughts on. I'm sorry, I'm sure they're in the chat because they're a big supporter of our channel. I can't remember who it was. Someone pointed out a good theory to why all these portraits are scrubbed. Their faces are painted out.
I think it was Cece.
Yeah, thank you.
I think Cece did it.
Thank you, Cece. Yeah, that kind of in line with her signature attack, Lisa Trevor, of ripping off, the faces of the Stooges, the Umbrella, the scientists that Umbrella was sending in, because they were trying to pacify Lisa. People are wondering if she was attacking them, kind of mistakenly thinking it was her mother, and they were sending Umbrella was sending Stooges in to kind of act as Lisa Trevor's mother, who obviously she could smell the scent that it wasn't her mother, and then in her fury would rip their faces off, and kind of in line with that you've got maybe it was Lisa scrubbing out all these faces, we don't know.
Yeah, that's a good theory. I've only gone with the one theory, but that's a new one I can add now. But my theory was that when Wesker and Barry got to the mansion, they met up, and then he basically told Barry what he's going to do, and go around and cover up the evidence, scratch off the faces and stuff. Because if you see by the art gallery near the back entrance, there's a paint in there which has been burnt. So he's just destroying the evidence before Chris and Jill can see it. Speaking of, I just recently was doing some research on Genesis as well, the mobile version of this.
Okay. That's interesting. Can I very quickly say, and you're gone if anyone doesn't know. Well, actually, you can say BSA Arkley. That's kind of like almost like reimagining of this, isn't it?
Yeah, it's Capcom Japan, Capcom USA, mobile version of this. But it was really, really good. It was really interesting, and USS Command pointed out that there is this statue in the middle of the main hall, which looks like a replica of. It looks identical to a statue in concept art for the original Biohazard. It looks like they've reused the assets from it. Okay. But I don't know how much, because Capcom USA kind of did their own thing, and they had this guy called Chris Kramer who wrote a lot of stuff for them, and the comics and things like that. But I just want to say, if you want to take it as headcanon, I recommend you maybe watch it or play it if you can, because it gives a lot of character interaction. Wesker and Barry have more scenes together, and they kind of play on the betrayal with Barry and stuff, and there's just like there's more crossovers. So
Would
if
you say
wanna,
it was?
add it-
Would you say that would be like akin to like SD Perry's Umbrella Conspiracy?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, it's if you take the canon and you want to take SD Perry and you want to take Genesis and mix it all into one, you can do it. Like that's what I like to do. But or you can just stick to your main canon. It's up to you. But yeah, I recommend if people are open to that, you try it because there's a lot of character interactions and like Wesker and Barry's, their roles are advanced.
Stuff that I actually wanted to see more of when the remake was coming out. I was hoping that there would be, going through like the first 3 games in Code Veronica and stuff like that. I was hoping that when this remake came out, that we were going to get like a Barry scenario, maybe like a Wesker scenario, a B scenario, with like Chris not making it into the mansion and stuff like that.
And for the one person in the chat who's as interested in George Trevor as I am, I'm forever indebted to Neptune from the Resident Evil podcast, who when a long time ago posted up at the projectumbrella.net website. He's Neptune over the years has been a big champion of the mobile games. I don't know if anyone's noticed. He's quite a fan of Confidential Report, and actually, if you check out the Resident Evil podcast website, the new website by Resident Evil Podcast, there's Neptune's article on Confidential Report. But going back to Genesis, I'll put a link in the chat for that in a minute. Going back to Genesis, yeah, Neptune was championing Genesis, and I remember him posting all the files from Genesis, and oh man, just to see all this extra information on George Trevor. There's this whole George Trevor diary in Genesis, and I kind of initially would turn my nose up and think, oh, it's only a mobile game. But yeah, Sonny, you're right, and BSA Arkley, there's so much more. There's a lot of information in Genesis. So yeah, Resident Evil Genesis, just for the files and the extra information, BSA Arkley points out, but also this whole George Trevor diary that doesn't really contradict. If anything, just adds more stuff to what you can imagine happened in the Spencer Mansion.
I wanted to ask you, BSA Arkley. I was standing in front of this for quite some time, but then I didn't want to stay too stagnant. This picture right here, could you tell us anything about what it might be representing? If there's anything real about it?
No, not off the top of my head, but I'll look into it. I think I know the image. But
it's a real life. It's one of the paintings that's
yeah. I'll make a tweet of that. So.
Okay. I also wanted to mention the way that I'm walking around the mansion right now. I feel like I'm playing like Remake's version of Umbrella Chronicles. except that you get to control the rails instead of just being on the rails.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can go at your own pace. If you want to run, man, just run.
Well, I feel like we might miss some stuff. I'm trying to go room to room, so that we could talk about things. It's very interesting. A lot of information covered already.
Yeah.
Right, where are we? I'm just trying to catch up with where we are. Yeah, because if you
notice,
I've yet to see any zombie wearing that particular green style jacket that zombie on the first floor corridor, just around the corner from Forest, is wearing. So I'm pretty sure that is the Shinji Mikami zombie down there. That's there's no other zombie that's got that attire.
So like I was saying about the textures earlier.
Yes.
I was looking at one the other day and I thought it was just gibberish because if you translate Japanese, you can get it in symbols, but you can also translate it into words. But I never look at the words side of it. I can't remember the actual phrase for it, but Reen Hurst pointed out to me then that this is Japanese, so we translated it, and it says it was like an image of like a BOW or something like on a file, and it says this one looks like Iwama. So they were like taking the mick out of him, saying this BOW looks like Iwama, and there's loads of little jokes like written on files in the game. You could see them on there's one with about Khmer as well. Nora helped me translate that. In the background there's like a zombie sticking his head around the corner, and they say this looks like Aoyama or something, like Kamiya. So they kind of just like put little digs at each other into the game.
Oh, that's fantastic. And I mean, this is the corridor, the original version of this corridor, isn't it? This is where they cut out the writing that I loved. I wish they'd kept it in, but I know it was. I think it was too much going towards that this mansion is haunted. That you had the writing in blood across the wall.
Yeah, wasn't that up by the library?
The library. I think it's in the original. Obviously, it's a cut from the original. I thought it was the original version of that hallway that we were just in. But yeah, that's something I wish.
I just wanted to point out something to someone in the chat. Luigi asked, "How long were the stars officially on site at the site for this incident?" Now, I think one of the official things, and I think that this was at ProjectUmbrella.com actually. Or .net rather, that the stars. It says that the stars were there sometime after 8 p.m. on July 24th, and at least for remake, we're not counting 0 for this, but July 24th after 8 p.m. and then they leave dawn of the 25th.
That's right. But I'm glad you brought this up because I found a contradiction on this the other day. The press released a statement that afternoon when they. So they got here at 8 p.m. like you said. They left in the morning. They got back to the RPD. Then they landed on the rooftop, which you can see in one of the prologues. And then, so everybody knew that the remaining stars were back and they were being interrogated, and some of them went to hospital and stuff. But later on that day, the RPD released the press. They talked to the press and they basically told them that none of the stars had made it back and they were all dead.
Huh.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
So I was thinking maybe Irons was covered. Maybe they were thinking about offing them.
Maybe.
Because they didn't know what kind of information they had.
Yeah, that's interesting. I didn't know that tidbit. Huh.
It's strange. It doesn't really fit, but
maybe it was already like pre-printed, and they thought that all the stars were coming back in general.
Yeah, Reen suggested that. Maybe through the night they let the press know that they were dead, like in advance, thinking they're not going to come back from this.
And then Wesker totally messed it up.
Yeah.
Greg says it would be nice if there was an Easter egg of Wesker walking around the mansion with a can of red paint writing on the walls. I mean, the closest we get to that, don't we? We get a zombie Wesker in the Sega Saturn version, don't we, of Biohazard?
Yeah, Wesker. Speaking of Wesker, he had like 8 different roles. It was ridiculous. I don't know how that guy got anything done. He was the Star's captain, the head of security. He was Umbrella's executive. He had like 6 different roles. He was the busiest man.
Yeah, and he had 12 other siblings to help him out that weren't much use though, were they?
Maybe one.
I'm just waiting until Derek Wesker appears as the next antagonist.
He did. He was in RE6. I'm just kidding. Of course it's not. Of course it's just Simmons. It's not a Wesker child. A lot of people thought that Simmons was going to be Alex Wesker when 6 was coming out, if I recall correctly.
So, we haven't got to Forest yet. I'll keep that.
No, we're about to get there soon.
And we're yet to get George Trevor's diary because, come on, I've got so many facts, believe it or not, on George. I've got a whole article here to read out. Come on, let's get...
Just going to run around in circles with you. Okay.
I do really love... It's just, I know it's a little thing, but just the Jill's uniform without, like, the green tint. It looks just so much better like this.
Yeah. I love it. I love that this mod kind of brought the blue back into it.
You shouldn't be doing this stuff to me though, because now I gotta go and play with the tint. It's like you ruined RE5 for me.
Oh, because I removed the green filter and everything.
Yeah. Now I gotta play it again, and it just looks ugly.
PC, man. You go a long way with the PC. I think it was Stars Tyrant that said like modding is like the future of the preservation of these classic games, in a way. Okay, so
I
let's see,
think
which
it's
way
the
do I want to
tip.
go?
That's why I'm interested, because that zombie on the floor there, he doesn't have the green jacket that he does in my remaster version on Xbox, which does distinguish him from all others. So I
No,
wonder.
no, this is the green jacket. This is the bald zombie with the green jacket.
It's light bulb head.
Yeah.
It's Lightbulb Head, yeah. And you know what? What's interesting, I don't know what changes it, because I've seen both scenarios with Lightbulb Head, but then I've also seen sometimes it gets changed to brown-haired zombie. I don't understand why that is. Do you know why that gets randomized sometimes?
No, I don't.
Would that be
don't
to
know
do with
that.
whether you kill him at the beginning, whether you shoot that zombie down as Barry, or if you just? Oh no, he does anyway. Yeah. Well, no, because you don't. You have the. If you play as Chris, then you don't have anyone to take that zombie out. You can just run away from him, can't you? So
It's possible. It's possible that maybe if you shoot the zombie first before going back and triggering the Barry cutscene, or if you just kill it as Chris first and then come back into the hallway, maybe it turns into that brown-haired zombie instead, just an additional zombie spawn or something like that. Yeah.
So if you see the meal on the table in the back there was like a plate and everything set out, but you don't have to go back into it.
I'm going back in. Let's get a visual on this.
Yeah, it looks like somebody's like there was a dinner place set up, but I was just reading which one was it? I think it was Inside of Biohazard, and it basically states that there's seven researchers from Umbrella HQ visiting the mansion while this goes on. So I was thinking like maybe they were having a meal and these visitors, and they disappeared, and Umbrella's looking for them. So we don't really know what happened to them, and they didn't find their bodies.
Huh. Interesting. That's an interesting theory.
Yeah, but there was 7 guys there who weren't supposed to be. They were just like visiting. They weren't normally there.
Wow. And this is inside of Biohazard, you said?
Let me double check.
Neptune from Resident Evil Podcast has to go. Thanks for joining, Neptune. Great to see you in the chat.
Thanks.
Yes, thank you, Nick. Thank you so much. We've got Sean still here, Stars Tyrant, representing the Resident Evil podcast, and his partner in crime, Neptune, is off to bed. Thank you, Nick, for staying up so late with us tonight.
Yeah, Josh the Tile. Let's avoid any village rumors or theories or spoilers. We want to try and keep that clean. I know that there's a certain section of the community that doesn't mind discussing those, but we prefer to keep it spoiler free here.
Chaotic Claire, thank you very, very much. Thank you, member of the website, been supporting us for many years, and thank you so much for joining the stream. And it is getting late here. We're in Europe, in Germany. It must be about 12:30 now. So thank you for staying.
Yeah, she stayed up really late today. Thanks, Claire.
Thank you so much, Claire. Thanks for joining. Okay, let's go upstairs.
Off to see Forest, are we?
Oh, we're getting there. We are getting
I just
there.
love the way that you get the extra detail in these items with this remaster. It's fantastic.
That shotgun she's carrying, that was researcher's shotgun for self-defense. But if you read the file about like burning corpses and stuff, like some of the researchers actually put up a fight against the zombies. But most of them, like, they got overrun pretty quickly. Like in the lab in particular, most of them just like committed suicide and stuff. But some of the people in the mansion, they actually tried to survive.
I knew that was gonna happen. Man, this dog is definitely stronger than the other one. I always notice that its vitality, like, it always seems to not go down as fast as the second one.
I mean, yeah, I had the embarrassment of almost dying whilst I was one of the first times I ever live streamed Resident Evil. I didn't make it past this section. Yeah. Especially.
Yeah, I remember the last time you streamed, you were leaving leaving zombies everywhere, and he wasn't burning the corpses. And I
I'm
said,
doing this. I'm
"That's-
doing the same thing here because I'll be,
Yeah.
I'll be surprised. I'll be surprised if we even get back to most of the zombies for this stream.
You're gonna get ambushed."
Definitely, I'll definitely save as soon as I get the armor key. Well, actually, no, I'll save now because I'm gonna encounter the first Crimson Head prior to.
Something interesting about the Cerebrus as well is that they attack like identically to the raptors in Jurassic Park. So you get one from the front, and then that's to distract you, and then the attack from the side, which is like another thing they've taken from Jurassic Park.
I didn't know that.
That's in inside of as well.
Inside of Biohazard.
Yeah,
Am I right to
Project
think?
Umbrella.
Am I right to think? Wait, Inside of Biohazard, is that the one that came out for Dark Side Chronicles? Or at the time that Dark Side Chronicles came
No,
out?
that's the Dark Side Chronicles.
Ah.
The inside of Dark Side of Chronicles.
That's it, because the Inside of the Dark Side Chronicles, that is a fantastic. There's a lot of information in that book.
Yeah, there's still a lot of work to do with that one. That needs a lot of me and Newsbot have been like translating these guides for years now, and we like getting through them bit by bit. But there's so much work to do. It's like I've been like buying them and then scanning them and ruining them, and then I've been helping Newsbot. Like he oversees everything I do because he's more competent translator than I am. But we're getting there. But there's still loads to unlock. Like we've nearly done Biohazard 1. We've nearly done all the guides for it.
Because, with it being associated with Dark Side Chronicles, you wouldn't not necessarily think that it would kind of stand above many of the other, guidebooks that might be, connected to main game titles. But yeah, it's inside of the, what is it again? The Dark Side Chronicles guidebook?
Inside of the Dark Side of Chronicles.
That's it. Yeah. And
it's a really bizarre name.
Yeah,
just want to say really quick, GT, that your number one fan, Death the Pursuer, is drawing attention to the fact that that I will save the game and you won't.
Yeah, I think Death the Pursuer was there for my rage quit at Code Veronica when the first Bandersnatch crushed my head. Yeah. Hey, Death the Pursuer, thanks for joining us.
Jen Von Lee has just also joined us. Welcome, Jen. How are you?
Hey, Jen. Welcome.
Can I take a break for a sec?
Yeah. Oh my
go
word,
for it.
absolutely. You go and take a break. And
okay, man. I'll be back in 2 minutes now.
Okay, you got it.
Thanks.
Okay, you better. We'll send a hunter after you if you don't.
Okay.
And hey, Loki CJ, thank you for joining us. And Mr. Sonny Bauer, thank you for so far surviving through the Spencer Mansion without dying.
That's what I do. That's what I do. I can't let Jill die. I did that. Thankfully, I did that successfully in the Joe and Heidi stream.
No, I know.
That would have been embarrassing to kill off Jill in that one with Heidi watching.
We say it so many times, don't we, that, it doesn't matter how many years and how many times we play Remake or our favourite Resident Evil game, something new always seems to spring up. And that happened to me, I think, last stream or two back when, were you there at RT to see this, the spinning, sort of little statues of death here?
Yeah.
I after I kind of put the key back, put the what is it? Put the key back and took the real one and came around the corner too quickly and got spiked.
Yeah, I've
Never
done
knew
it
that
before
could
too.
happen.
It depends on how long you wait to put the key in, and then you can just run right back and you could catch it and get spiked right before you not killed. You just kind of like react to it.
Yeah. Well, I checked my health
set back
immediately.
in.
It didn't. I mean, you got that little blood animation, so that was quite interesting. That that was built into the game to do that.
Yeah.
But no, it didn't. I mean, I don't know if you can kill you. It'd be fucking. Oh, it'd almost be worth dying just to say that's how you died, innit? But no, I didn't. It didn't lower my health.
Yeah. Right.
Yes, Oracle Dragon, we do. We have a Twitch clip of that. Thank you. I think Oracle Dragon clipped that, and we've got that on our Twitch channel as a video. And thank you, Nelly Bratface. Thank you so much for being with us. Hey, Nelly.
Let's see. Where do I want
Hope
to
you're
go?
having a good day.
Jen Von Lee says, I could do RE4 speed runs and stuff still takes me by surprise. And stuff still takes me by surprise sometimes. Enemies doing things I don't usually do, don't normally, and so on. I paraphrased that a little bit, Jen. Sorry.
Nice little question from M. Greg. Hope you're doing well, Matt. Hope everything's good with you. You guys, do we think the death of Forrest was a Hitchcock reference to the birds? It clearly looks that way. I don't know. I'm trying.
It very well could have been.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of any interview where that's specifically referenced as a source of inspiration by the developers. We'll ask BSA Arclay when he returns from his cup of tea.
His cup of tea.
Well, he's over in Wales, so it's probably more likely a can of lager.
Oh, there you go. That works too.
I'm sure everyone knows. Everyone's tried it, haven't they? To put the wrong coloured jewel in the tiger eyes, see what happens.
How many of you in the chat were used to the original game where it was the blue and red jewel, and then you go to put the red jewel in this one, and it just has snakes drop from the ceiling?
I remember doing that, being so excited. What's going to happen? I'm like, so it was. I was pleased that something did happen. You got that extra thing, and this is one of the puzzles that is referenced, obviously, by George Trevor, and in the original George Trevor letters. Referencing this as a clue, to solving this puzzle.
Right. Now, what's interesting about this is if you look at the inscription that the game gives you.
Yeah.
And then you look at the inscription on the statue itself, it doesn't match up. It's not... I'm being nitpicky, but it says that the inscription reads, a tiger glowing with blue and yellow light, but what it says on the inscription is tiger with yellow and blue eyes.
Yeah. I think maybe because it's interesting, some of those descriptions, the environmental descriptions, it's almost like it's slightly off language. It's almost like someone's written it for which English isn't, say, their first language. Sometimes just slightly grammatically off, and maybe they're just correcting that, with the subtitle. But you've probably noticed this, Artie. You get that with Resident Evil Dead Aim. If you play with the subtitles don't match up with the actual voice actor's dialogue. It's generally the same, but
well, like I said, when it comes to these games, like this and Zero and stuff, I honestly think it's just because the textures were so blurry that they just wrote whatever they kind of wanted to, because they didn't have to worry about it matching. But when you upscale it, and it looks that good, and you can see what it says, then there's that different detail there.
You weren't kidding about sending a BOW after me. I went outside, there's a massive spider the size of my hand. Jeez.
Oh, don't, man. I'm arachnophobic. Oh, God. We had a question for you, Biss Arkley, and I've forgotten what it was now. It came in from the chat. It'll come to me.
So we've got Scott here laying on the ground.
Yeah, this is an interesting room. You got blood stains all over the place. It looks like it was like some kind of battle here. I guess it was Scott and
the keeper. I guess
the keeper. Yeah. And I don't trust the keeper or Scott.
and the keeper just bit his face off, basically.
Yeah, there's blood all over the bed and all over the floor. But one of them's the keeper and one of them's Scott. I just don't know which. I think probably the keeper killed Scott and stuck him in the wardrobe.
Oh, you think so? So you think the keeper is actually the one that was on the floor here?
Yeah, I think that was the keeper, and the one in the wardrobe was Scott.
Interesting.
So he was trying to hide him, like.
Because usually I think the people are of the opinion that it's reversed. Because I guess because it goes out of its way to cinematically show you the zombie coming out of the closet. So they would assume that that's just like the keeper. Maybe he just put himself in the closet and just just stayed there. And, that's an interesting theory though. That maybe he killed him and he just shoved them in there.
I mean, if he's gonna stand, zombies have a tendency to do things, they repeat things they did a lot when they were alive.
Yeah.
So maybe if the keeper used to stand in the closet and stuff, then.
Why he would do that, who knows?
Yeah.
That's an interesting point, because I think it's in that Kenichi interview where he talks about specifically the difference between these zombies and zombies kind of like in popular culture, like the Romero zombies, for example. And they talk about, I think, have you discussed this as well, BSA Arkley, that these zombies do have remnants of their past lives as scientists and researchers.
Yeah, it's key in that right there, the Keeper's Diary.
Yeah, I want to talk about this a bit because there's we'll get into the sort of like the heavier question that I'm going to ask in a second, but the first question that I'm asking, which is interesting, is that between the original one and this one, and it even references it. If you notice on the bottom, it says Keeper's Diary and then May 9th to May 19th. However, if you go all the way to the end, whereas in the original it does end on May 19th, some odd reason in the remake it splits May 19th and May 21st. Into that was all May 19th, but it splits it into two and adds the 21st for some reason. And
I think they just wanted to extend it to show like the breakdown over days. Like maybe that's my theory.
And that brings me to brings me to the next question. Actually, the heavier one. Why does it seem that this T virus takes so long to infect the researchers in this place and the the people who were staying in the mansion, as opposed to say like the one in Raccoon City?
Yeah, there's just different strains in there. So this was, I think they're all like they got variations of they affect you in different ways. Evil Resident would be the person to ask about this stuff because that guy's knowledge on science is unmatched. But
the fundamental reason there, you're right, is that I think it wasn't known for some time. We all presumed it was just one effectively
one strain, yeah.
One strain, but no, there's multiple strains, isn't there? The strain that affects the mansion, and also not all spread by the same source. The rats that we see in Outbreak that are spreading the virus around Raccoon City, that wasn't the spread of the of the T virus within the mansion. Yeah, which obviously in Zero.
It could also be a difference of the way that the virus was maybe airborne, the way that it got into the water supply, like different modes of infection, like maybe a bite.
Yeah.
If you get bitten, maybe it transmits faster than say drinking infected water or breathing in the infected air.
Point. Yeah.
Because this basically from May 11th up until May 19th relatively to the 21st. It's almost like, it's like basically 10 days, 8 to 10 days that this person degenerates rather than say like a couple hours, which in most, zombie type movies or games is usually the case. It's just interesting. Yeah, and it's very interesting.
He had his hazmat suit on as well, so I don't know how he got affected, but it must have been before he put it on, so that just says like it takes even longer.
Well, I always got the impression in that diary that when he's handed that hazmat suit to put on, it's
already infected.
Yeah, and it's almost just they're kind of just like almost pacifying him, making him think that they're doing something effective when it was just kind of like papering over the cracks. He was already a goner.
Yeah. Well, Umbrella were just like using them. They were there's different things they had them do, like stay in the mansion, research it, basically just stay there and get combat data for us. They asked them to spread ammunition around the mansion, which is why you were able to find it in different places. I don't know why they said that. Maybe they knew stars were going in and they wanted them to have access to this ammunition. I don't know, but they asked them to do various things and stay there and just instead of like acting on it, which they probably should have done, because they could have like maybe stopped the Raccoon City saga. But they basically just left them there to rot.
Yeah,
it's interesting.
Bloody Eye Jerry, absolutely correct. The Mansion T virus has VACT, obviously
virus activation.
Yeah, as opposed to the Raccoon City one that we see, spread by the rats in that opening cutscene in Outbreak. Yeah, and Bloody Eye Jerry also says, in Dawn of the Dead, Peter says about Roger, I've seen half a dozen guys get bitten by one of those things. None of them lasted more than 3 days.
Right. Yeah. It could be totally like, a different transmission. whether it be bite or breathing it in or drinking the infected water, stuff like that. That might influence the infection rate.
Yeah.
Now,
it's
interesting in this remake here, different style choice to really go with kind of like these windows and a tile floor. It almost feels like a more outdoorsy type area rather than that decorated hallway that we get in the original with the blood-stained walls and the blood all over the floor and everything like that. And the terrace is also, you can see that the terrace here it's relatively the same shape. Yeah. It's got the same table here, and this typically right here, this little nook is where you would find Forrest in the original. But in the remake, they decide to really, really extend it across the east side here.
Yeah, and if you look down to the right-hand side, you can see benches and stuff down there as well, where the staff could have gone and chilled out.
Where's that? Sorry.
You can't see it on this shot, but if you keep moving along, you see a bench down there.
Okay, so it's a different shot if I move further down.
Yeah, I think it's this area.
I think we're gonna
see this
actually
area
trigger.
Or the area with the.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Sorry. Oh, see this area or the area where Jorn drops down on Rebecca and Richard in Chronicles.
Yeah, I think it's the opposite terrace. I think it's the west terrace for that game because I don't think they did this terrace in Chronicles. I'm not sure because they don't seem to do a lot of the what is it? There's some areas of Chronicles that are missing, like the attic. Like a lot of the east wing is missing. The attic, I think this terrace, I think they switched the terrace to the west terrace, where the dogs came with the collar.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that's where you see Forrest when you play as Chris and Jill, and I think that's where Jan comes down when you're playing as Richard and Rebecca. Not sure what the reasoning is, but I guess maybe they kind of wanted to abridge the storytelling or something like that.
I'm sorry, Vacant Flat. I'm not quite sure what you mean. I'm probably being stupid, but quite intriguingly, Vacant Flat says there's a disappearing plant on the balcony. See if you can spot it.
No, I never noticed that.
Interesting.
I warned you though. It's not pretty.
I always like getting this cutscene. It's not easy to get.
What could have done this to him?
God only knows, but I'm gonna find out what did this to him. Jill, could you investigate other...
If you see Jill's reaction there,
Yeah.
she kind of dropped down like she was going to be like she was disgusted, which is
We don't
I don't
what's
know.
going to happen. Take it with you. I still can't believe it.
If you notice on the character models, part of the retcon pack, as a matter of fact, I can show it in the shot here since it's so close. If you look at the stars emblem, part of the retcon pack really tidies it up, because if you notice in the original, the black that kind of outlines the outside of the emblem is very smeared. It's very illustrated looking in the original, and this retcon mod actually kind of touches that up, makes it look like a shoulder patch more so. Just part of the process.
Stands out a lot more.
Yeah, Death to Pursuer. Oh, sorry, go on, Pierce out, please. Sorry.
I was just going to say, I got a couple of points about Forrest here. I'll go and wait.
Oh, I'm
I'm
interested to hear them, so I'll be very quick just to say that Death to Pursuer mentions that, again, with all of us coming across, random things that we've never, experienced before, loves this cutscene and got it for the first time. Says, I accidentally found this cutscene playing the door randomizer. Only time he's got it. I very rarely get it. So Sonny says it's a treat when you do.
I think what you really have to do is you have to get the broken shotgun. You definitely have to use that so you don't trigger the ceiling trap. So that negates the Barry cutscene for that. And then you have to make sure that you follow the pathway back upstairs to the second floor of the mansion so that you don't trigger the first floor main hall Barry giving you the acid rounds. And then just immediately, get the dog whistle, immediately go out to that balcony from the second floor, kill the dog, get the armor key, and then come back to the balcony, and you should be good. That's how I usually do it.
Wow, I need to take notes on that. I'll ask you after.
But I do want to ask you, BSA Arkley, about Forrest, because there's no indication here. Okay, it's to me they've removed the crows. I honestly believe that I think something else attacked him, but that's my headcanon. Because to me Forrest is a tough dude, and I think that maybe he got attacked by something bigger, stronger, maybe Crimson Heads even. Who knows?
Yeah. Well, like if you take like the original and then mix it with a remake, like I was saying earlier, or if you want to add Genesis or whatever, but if you add in that blood stain on the wall as you enter in, then and the guides for Bio 1 say that he was attacked, before he got to the terrace. So something like probably a zombie or something had him, and he came out here and he basically bled out. And I think the crows pecked at him after he died. And then they became secondary infected, and they kind of like spread around the mansion because of Forrest, I think.
I'm noticing the bench.
It's the bench, yeah. So the rocket launcher, the grenade launcher as well. That it was a prototype grenade launcher, and it was created by firearms specialist Joseph. So it wasn't Forrest, but Forrest was carrying it for this mission, but it was originally Joseph's.
Okay, interesting. So it was originally Joseph.
You
talk about Joseph Kendo's or Joseph Frost?
Joseph Frost, sorry.
Joseph Frost, okay.
Yes.
And Forrest was carrying it. Gotcha. Now, Vacant Flat says something about the disappearing plant in here. If you look up here, you see the kind of like these plants, these potted plants, like hanging off the side. They're not in this shot. So that's what he was talking about.
Yeah, that because of different, like I said earlier, they'd have different backgrounds. So they must not have added it in for this background because of switches. So you might see a few things like that.
Yeah, well done on that observation.
Yeah, nice.
So this is what's great about the Barry cutscene, and it's the only time you could do this. You could get the green herbs safely.
Yes, without triggering Forrest. Yes.
Yeah, because whenever you're alone, whether you be Jill and Chris, you have to be alone. It's just mandatory. You'd usually trigger Forrest when you go back to the back of the terrace to get the herbs, but Barry right here, he's kind of like a safety blanket for Jill.
Bloody Eye Jerry says, "What about Forrest's tattoo?"
Yes, sword with snakes in it. I've got that somewhere. I'll post that. I'll tweet that again.
So you cut out a bit. Did you say that was a sword and a snake?
Yeah, I think so. It's in the textures. I can tweet that out as well if you want to see.
Something like that. I think it differs slightly from the original. I don't know. What I saw was like a sword with I think maybe wings and then a ribbon or something like that. Like the wings are at the top and then there's a ribbon at the bottom. But it could have changed over the various different versions.
I'm not in the chat, so I can't drop images in. But I'll tweet.
I discovered it's very frustrating. You can't drop images into the chat, can you? You can do links.
No.
But you can do links. Yeah, you can't. Yeah.
It's a sword with wings on either side of it.
Okay. And then what about at the bottom? Is there like a ribbon or something like that?
Yeah, it's funny enough. Yeah, it looks like something could be underneath there as well, like a ribbon or something.
And nothing in his backstory to kind of allude to if he was in a I don't know.
No, there's not a lot about Forrest. He's one of the least expanded upon characters.
And I think that's why. I mean, I know I am. I'm sure many people in the chat as well.
So wait, hold on. So 1 second. So part of the retcon pack here is that they take the RPD logo from Remake 2. So you can see the 1969 on his patch here, and Stars Tyrant is going to have a meltdown in the chat now.
Oh my God! Look at that badge. It looks awful on him like that.
Poisonous? Richard, hold on.
Bring me serum. I saw some, but didn't bring any.
I'll go and get it, okay? You're gonna make it.
Thanks.
Joe White just basically saying that it's Chris with a hernia when he voices Richard.
Another thing I wanted to add about Forrest as well, he's when in the Benny Machiyama remake novel again, Jill like feels sympathetic towards the BOWs and the zombies and stuff. Everything she's killing, it kind of plays on her emotions. Like she doesn't like she knows there were people before and she doesn't want to be doing it. But the one person she had to put down was Forrest, and that affected her the most. And kind of, she said she was like disgusted with herself.
Now, can I ask, this novel, we'll put a link in the chat to it, 'cause you've mentioned it quite a few times, it's interesting. Am I right to think that this novel first appeared in Japanese in the back of the true story behind Biohazard book that came out with a Saturn version of Biohazard?
No, I was in the remake Kaitei Shinshu, and it's by Benny Matsuyama, and he writes like mini novels for some of the Kaitei guides. Oh, Crimson! Oh, look out!
Oh,
Yeah.
so that's a mini novel within the guide that came out for which port of the game?
It's in GameCube and Wii.
Okay, oh, that's interesting. Okay, so when GameCube came out and the guide came out for that, you've got like this additional extra mini novel. Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, they go on for Chord 4, 5.
Because the Kato guides, aren't they? I mean, if you want to get the most extensive version of any guidebook pertaining to a Resident Evil game, I think that it's those ones, aren't
Usually,
they?
yeah.
Yeah. Is it Kato Shinsano? I'm really bad at pronouncing it.
Yeah, that was better than what I did, I think.
This is gonna be rough.
Which I think was a bit disappointing, that when we got the Resident Evil 7 version of that guidebook, I think you discovered it as well, was quite poor, was a bit low on information.
Which one?
The Resident Evil 7 Kato guide.
Oh, yeah. Oh, man. I read some of these guidebooks and there's like a few lines in there. There was, it was the least, it had the least info for the Kaito guides, I think.
Yeah. We both got it, yeah.
Pro gamer tip that I just learned here after forgetting after a while. Never try to run away from a Crimson Head on the staircase, because you will get combo hit before you could even get a shot off.
Yeah, I noticed he was faster than you.
Yeah, like really fast, and the swipes were just coming, man. Because obviously zombies can't grab you on the stairs, so you just kept swiping.
Yeah.
I love using the stairs to, avoid those zombies. That's our mental note, yeah.
Yeah, don't do it for the Crimson Heads.
Thank you, Vacant Flat. Keitai Shinsho. So it's actually not that difficult. I've got no excuse in the future. So yeah, Kaito Shinsho are the most extensive and definitive Resident Evil guides for any game, except for Resident Evil 7.
Yeah, you could find them all on Project Umbrella. Another thing about Forrest as well. Do you guys know he was an excellent driver?
Yeah, he was like a vehicle specialist, and he drove. His driving skills were like above average, even at the hobby level, like or something like that.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. It's kind of like same as Piers.
Yeah. Piers, the best driver that the BSAA has. As he says it already says.
But Chris kicks him out and takes the wheel.
Right. He just kicks him right out of the driver's seat.
Now, do you guys, BSA Oakley, do you know the source for this? I remember reading that the reason that Richard, that we just saw there, has this kind of great sort of overwhelming sense of protecting Jill and protecting Chris, and is from, it comes from his backstory. So I don't know which guide source is this, that he had a sister that died, like I think thugs, she was mugged and attacked, and he was there. And he felt he didn't do enough to protect her. He kind of, I think he almost was like there was cowardice, or he didn't step up, and he always had this sense that that he failed his sister, didn't protect her. So he kind of takes that. I think that may have even been one of the reasons that why he wanted to join Stars and kind of make up for that. And that's why you get this thing with him sacrificing himself for Jill and Chris.
Yeah. Damn it.
I'm
not sure.
It's not inside of Bio, and
I'm sorry. I thought that was his letter to his girlfriend from Umbrella Chronicles. His girlfriend Bridget, if I remember correctly.
That's it.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you, son.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I think I'm not sure. I'm not sure if she reads that at the funeral or something like that. I forget if there was a detail about that. Just to show how dedicated he wanted to be a Stars member and how he just wanted to protect people, something like that. Yeah, it's pretty sad. It was a nice little detail that was added by Umbrella Chronicles.
Yeah, they elaborate in the supplements a bit, like on the stars. The people who died in stars in this incident, their families and stuff were. They had like psychological therapy and stuff, which I'm not sure if it was Umbrella or the RPD paid for.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
How quaint.
It's funny as well because Richards is supposedly the least experienced out of the whole of stars except for Rebecca.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that. At least experienced in terms of just in general, or like in combat.
Yeah, combat discipline, it says.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, it does seem that maybe like that sort of protective nature, like you can see that dynamic between him and Rebecca, and whereas things end unfortunately for him, it's kind of like that's passed off to Chris, who also has that same dynamic with Rebecca. In terms of she probably reminds him of Claire.
Yeah.
In a way. It's
They both got sister issues.
Yeah.
And talking of Claire, I know, B.S. Arkley, you've got, quite. So I don't want to put you on the spot there, but you've got a few little kind of tidbits in terms of the, kind of Claire's biography, and that was written for the original character. In terms of her parents, I think wasn't she initially conceived as being half Japanese?
Jill?
Yes.
I thought you said Claire.
Sorry, yeah, no, I probably did say Claire. Sorry, it's getting late. Yeah. I wondered why you didn't know what I was talking about. Yeah, Jill.
Oh yeah, this is interesting. Nora came up with this. It's Nora's at Miss Snugglebutt on Twitter, so follow her because
you had
she
to say that. It's so funny that you had to. That was her name. You had to say Snugglebutt.
Yeah, but she's really like she's I think she's quite new to the community as far as I know, but she's like
great
helping,
translator, isn't she?
Yeah, she's helping and like uncover a lot of information. So make sure you follow her. But recently she uncovered that Jill's parents, they're half Japanese and half French, which we all knew. But Nora like looked at the translation in more depth, and it actually said that her mother was like only part Japanese, so it was like less than 1/3, she said.
Okay, that's interesting. Okay, and Jerry, I think Jerry, you're very naughty. You didn't credit Crimson Head website with this information that I know you found out through us, because we're go to the website and you'll see all the the original concept art for these these concept designs for the Stars characters when they were very, very first created and designed. And it was Jill Morrison was her original name, which was a reference to Jim Morrison from the band, who I absolutely love the Doors. So her original name was Jill Morrison, and I think Chris, his original name wasn't Redfield, was it?
It was Beam Mercurio, I think so.
Beam Mercurio from there's a reference to Freddie Mercury.
Interesting.
Okay.
And Jill was it was Jill Morrison because of Doors singer.
Jim Morrison, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
One of my heroes as a teenager growing up.
And then they got Valentine from Bobby Valentine, the basketball player.
Oh.
Yeah, but one of them was actually named after a pornographic magazine.
Camilla's Work, if I remember correctly.
If you can guess who. There was Beam Mercutio, there was Jill Morrison, and there was Captain Hustler.
Captain Hustler, oh fantastic. Who was Captain Hustler, I wonder?
Wesker.
Oh, that's
there you go. Now here you go, GT. You asked for this. We've got George Trevor's his first diary here.
Here we go. Well, I love these diaries, and just the fact that it gives you this idea that you're following the footsteps of someone before you that had this terrible fate. And BSA Arkley can add to this, but the letters were originally conceived as kind of clues that were written into the original game to kind of give the the player a kind of inkling into what they had to do, and also kind of to act as like a narrative justification as to why why this mansion actually had the traps in there in the first place. But then that bloody killjoy Shinji Mikami came and took them all out. I think
cheeky little fellow, you.
I think he felt, and there may be a point to this. I think the reason given, I think Bissy Arkley can kind of correct me on this maybe, was that it didn't quite fit. The letters didn't really fit, or he felt concerned that they wouldn't be able to fit to the actual story of the video game. And at the time, I think it was very much the game was very much in two parts, and I think he particularly felt the second part of the game, the letters that had been written. They were written by Saga-san, who wrote the letters. They didn't accurately reflect what was actually going on in the game, and would kind of contradict, certain elements of the actual gameplay.
Yeah, it was also like he felt that it was kind of more of a backstory, and they wanted to focus on what was happening now rather than then.
Right.
Oh, okay,
right.
That makes sense. Okay. Yeah, and it's Saga. Was the scenario writer who wrote the George Trevor letters and conceived the whole George Trevor family. And I'm sure people in the chat may know the whole Trevor family were based on the George Trevor architect, based off a character from the NES game Sweet Home, where you've got this like haunted mansion, and you've got a reporter and an artist who kind of painted these frescoes. They're going back to this mansion to interview him, and there's it's not an architect in that game, but there's a character very similar to George Trevor, as we all know, Shinji Mikami very much took Sweet Home as an inspiration, and the whole George Trevor and the Lisa Trevor, Jessica Trevor tragedy very much mirrors characters and a story from Sweet Home.
Those plates back there as well, they're in Lost in Nightmares, so that shows you how far they go back and reuse textures.
Yeah.
Oh wow!
They did quite a few callbacks to Lost in Nightmares from Remake, didn't they?
Yeah. And 3.5.
And like, just very quickly going back to Sweet Home, Jerry Bloody Eyes right. Sweet Home is a film and also a video game based on the film. I think it was released at the same time. I think interestingly, I may be right. Was the video game almost released as kind of like almost like viral marketing for the film?
It was either one way or the other. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's get rid of this armor key. So something that you're going to appreciate, BSA Arcway, there's a nice little throwback to the original game through a mod, through looking through the files of this. There's an unused. Well, we'll get to it in just a second. I want to surprise you with it.
Nice.
Thank you, Bloody Eye. Put a link to the film Sweet Home.
All right, I'm going to ask George Trevor to zip his lips for a second here. Because if I still have this mod activated, you're going to hear something that you don't hear in the remake, but you hear it in the original game.
Audio.
You have no audio. Okay, so basically there's an unused track that comes from the original. You know how when you uncover the puzzle, yeah, and it's kind of like a real creepy tune when the picture falls?
Yeah.
That's playing right now in a remake. It's a remake version, though. It's not the original track. They had it and they just never used it. Because I guess maybe they were like, why do we play scary music after solving a puzzle or something like that?
I'll have to look that up. Is it on YouTube?
I don't know if it's on YouTube, but maybe somebody, maybe Oracle could clip this in the chat or something.
Oh, thanks.
I didn't let the whole thing play.
I wonder if it's in the because you had the soundtrack from the game when you don't have to rip it here. It's just on file.
I know it's in the game files.
Yeah.
It's just an unused soundtrack. On the modding boards, they have like a whole music list, a music and audio list, and they I think they just like list it as like an unused track or something like that.
Right. Oh, if anybody sees, I should have said this at the start, but I'm looking for something in particular. I got this train cargo. It's a big red train, and I can't find it anywhere in Remake, and it's in the textures. I don't know if that's like something they left out, or but there's a big, massive car, like a cart from a train in here somewhere, and I just can't find it.
It's in this game somewhere.
You do occasionally find when you rip these games in the textures just these complete what appear to be completely random objects which you can't recall being in any part of the game.
Yeah, it's the only one which I don't know where it is.
I'm trying to think of the more unusual ones that I've come across over the years.
All right, so we're about to get to a boss fight.
Vacant Flat. There's another unused track that was eventually released on the soundtrack of Remaster, but it was sped up from the original. Apparently, in the original demos for Remake, the track played when exploring the room with the statue of the woman drawing water. Again, available on YouTube if you searched for unused tracks.
Interesting.
Thanks.
Interesting. Thank you for that.
Well, both of you guys have just been doing an incredible job, and we've come to the 2-hour mark. We won't quite abruptly end it here, but we'll might draw to an end soon, because really feeling for BSA Arkley, your brain must be frazzled. You've done a fantastic job. I mean, I've been learning things here, kind of just enjoying listening to you. Thank you so much for this evening.
Thanks. I learned from you guys as well. That's the community.
Yeah. I mean,
you learn from each other.
How are you feeling? Do you want to continue on for a little bit longer? Do you want to end it here?
I can do a bit more.
Okay, maybe we could try and get through the yawn fight, and maybe get to the Crimson Head Elder. Maybe cap it off at that, because that'll basically be the whole of the mansion for the first part, I think.
But remember, if you don't give us an interesting fact in the next 2 minutes, we have to kind of pull that release trigger that kind of lets that trap door open behind you, and you fall to the floor.
Okay, I got one now. So the Stars Training Manual, which was written by Albert Wesker, which appears in one of the guidebooks. He advises them to always try to get a map from building first before entering, because then they can assess the situation before moving on, which is basically, I think, tied into why they use maps in this game. It's basically like a canon explanation of why they would have a map, because they get a map before they enter an environment. Like if they were going into a building to get terrorists or something, he advises them to check out like the blueprints first.
Very interesting.
Oh, I should just very quickly say, because the Oracle Dragon, thank you, Oracle Dragon, has mentioned in the live chat that hopefully we will be doing more lore streams. And we were going to have with you your partner in crime, also from the Crimson Head team, and that's something we're going to mention in a minute, actually. USS Command was going to be with us this evening, but unfortunately couldn't make it. But hopefully, hopefully will join us for lore streams in the future. But sorry, we're all missing USS Command, who couldn't make it today.
Yeah.
Now, we're not going to draw it to an end right now, but we are coming to a close in sort of over the next 5-10 minutes.
Yeah.
BSA Arkley, you're definitely going to be joining us for part 2. I know that you've got some news for the community. Would you like to go over that now, or do you want to wait for part 2?
I don't mind. I'm easy. I think most people know. There's not a lot more I can add, but if you want to talk about it, we can.
Yeah, well, I'll wait for the cutscene to finish, then we'll get into it.
Nice work, Richard. He carried that.
Thanks.
So this shot right here, look at this shot right here. I'll talk about it after this.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what happens when you play with the joystick, folks. Okay, so as soon as I get out of this room, and now there's going to be a Crimson Head waiting for me, so I'll get the flame round out. Yeah, let me just take care of this Crimson Head really quick. Did it disappear because it was the boss fight? Ah, it disappeared. There you go. All right, so I wanted to draw attention for anybody in the chat, maybe for both you guys, GT and BSA Arcway, that one shot of the yawn with its perspective, closing in on Jill and Richard like that from first person. That's a 3D shot. That's actually like a full 3D shot because it's in motion. It's not a pre-rendered background. It's one of the very few in the game. It's not an FMV. It's not an FMV, but it's an actual in-motion 3D, like in-game 3D shot.
But so it's not FMV. So you could actually control Jill's character. You're saying in free.
I'm not saying that you could control Jill's character. What I'm saying is that usually when you get a sequence that's in motion in these games, these earlier games, it's usually a cutscene, like an FMV would trigger, kind of like the Neptune, swimming through the water, like leading up to the character. That shot right there in the attic was like an in-game, in-motion shot. So that attic shot was a 3D model with an in-game camera moving.
And is that what you see a lot more of in Resident Evil 0, where you have quite a few, where you can see quite clearly a huge difference in resolution and quality between some of the cutscenes that use the same in-game models that you play, but then you have the other cutscenes which are, oh wow, that.
that was brutal. No, because typically the cutscenes in Resident Evil 0 also are static. With the in-game models of Rebecca and Billy and stuff like that, they're typically static backgrounds. But anything that's in motion like that, when you have the in-game assets, like it was not a made FMV cutscene. It was in-game. It was kind of like for some reason they just used like an in-game camera, and it's not very common. All the cutscenes typically, as well as the gameplay in these games, are static camera. So I thought that was an interesting tidbit to kind of throw in there.
No, I've never seen that. I'm gonna go back and watch that.
And it was actually Susie that drew my attention to that. So credit goes to Susie there.
Yeah, thank you, Susie. That's fascinating. Actually. Oof. And good night to someone's going to bed. Ivan Raptor X. Thank you. Good night. Thanks for joining us. So I was just going to mention before. BSA Arclay, I should have mentioned at the beginning, and we'll drop links into the chat. You and we mentioned USS Command as well. Both joined Crimson Head Elder, the website crimsonhead.com. You joined us many years ago, just after we joined. And I want to thank you publicly, both of you. I know USS Command isn't here, but BSA Arclay, who's with us, and USS Command, you've contributed hugely over the years to building the website, before we had a podcast, before we had a Twitch channel. And for example, this is how good it is, okay? It got me interested in Resident Evil 5. BSA Arclay has written an article at our website on the beta build of Resident Evil 5, so please check that out. And also was very instrumental in helping us produce and present the translation of the Biohazard novel,
Umbrella Chronicles.
Oh, yeah, of course, the Umbrella Chronicles novel.
But that was Chaotic Clay and Batman, and there was a few people involved.
Well, that was a huge community, effort.
Yeah.
But also,
Rose Blank.
Thank you. Yeah, Rose Blank, which we got a huge response to. So please go to the website. You'll be able to see, these translations, the articles. But so thank you. But after all these years, you and USS Command have got something in the pipeline. I'll let you mention, but what we do know about it's a bit of a secret. And I know that you're working with Reen, who's in the live chat as well, and you mentioned as well Evil Resident. You four guys are working on something, and which is so mega that you and USS Command
don't overhype us.
Yeah. No, well, you and USS Command you're flying the nest, and obviously we're going to be working together on many things in the future, but you guys are moving on to new pastures, aren't you? And we wish you very, very well. And I'll let you sort of mention what you might be doing after, you know, you and USS Command, you know, you graduate. Let's say you've graduated from crimsonhead.com and you're on to bigger and better things. And yeah,
It's more like you're 18, you're out the door. That's what it was more like.
No, as you know, the door is always open for your return. But you know, this is not the end. This is very much a new beginning for you and USS Command with your new team. We're going to be delighted to be working with you on stuff in the future. But I'll be careful. I don't want to say too much. Do you want to allude to what that might be, or just say perhaps where people can find out more information about what that project's going to be?
Yeah, it was basically at the moment we just only can talk about it as a project that we're working on. Myself, BSA Arkley on Twitter, and then you got USS Command, and you got Reinhurst and Evil Resident, and they're all excellent at what they do. I'm really lucky to have such a team. Each one of them is absolutely brilliant, and they like motivated me to keep going with this stuff. I probably wouldn't be doing it if I was on my own, but I always wanted to work on a project of my own, and like I felt like maybe if I didn't do it before this series ended, I might regret it. So that's basically why I've gone kind of to do my own thing, but we're also going to still remain affiliated with yourself. And like you thanked me for helping your website. Well, you've done so much for me as well. You've introduced me to like voice actors, and I've had like access to things which I wouldn't have had access to without you. So I'm like eternally grateful to you as well. So.
No, pleasure. And as everyone in the chat knows, I wouldn't have been in that position to even kind of, you know, present that if it wasn't, you know, for the people in the chat that have supported us. And I don't want to kind of distinguish any individuals, but just in terms of people I noticed in the chat that kind of joined the website back in the early days. You know, we've got Bloody Eyed Jerry, of course. You've got the Oracle Dragon in the chat, who, you know, joined us on the staff, was you know, the first staff member with myself. M. Greg, who I don't know if he's still with us, but was in the chat, who has been a huge supporter of everything we've done going back to when we first started in 2011, and of course, you know, still keeping himself alive in the Spence Mansion, Mr. Sonny Bauer, who again, you know, thank you, Sonny, who is still with us for a while, but who again was part of that team, and yeah, it was wonderful. And yeah, no, good luck with what you do. And I know, you know, people will be finding out very, very soon what that exciting project is that you're doing.
Yeah, a couple of more months and we'll have a reveal.
Awesome.
But yeah, like I said, we'll still be doing stuff. You know, we're not enemies.
Just want to address the fact
the irony is,
goodbye.
We're far more likely to argue and fall out whilst we're on the same team. I think said we're actually going to become better friends with you. I nearly said what it was there. Sorry. Yeah.
I just want to draw attention to the fact that this could have been bears.
Yeah.
Oh my God, yes, Sonny. Can you imagine a bear smashing through that window?
It's possible that it could have been bears.
We'd need Bloody Eyed Jerry to sort it out if it was bears. I know Jerry regularly shoots bears in Missouri.
Jeez. Can't even imagine.
Okay. So we're on the road to the Crimson Head Elder very soon.
And just, I know, obviously, most importantly, thank you to everyone in the chat who, you know, we wouldn't be here without. Thank you so much for supporting us. We're still a relatively new Twitch channel, you know, trying things out, experimenting, you know, with things. I hope you've enjoyed this lore run. Thank you so much, BSA Arkley. You know, you've reminded me things that I'd long forgotten. You've taught me things that I didn't know. And
yeah, that's my relationship with Resident Evil. Forget more than I remember. So.
And we'll hope to do more. You know, we'll definitely follow this up with part 2. Hopefully, we'll get USS Command to join us.
Yeah,
and maybe by then you might have a little bit more information on this new project of yours. And definitely doing other lore runs, you know, with other community members. You know, I said at the beginning, I really want to stress we're not putting ourselves up as experts by any stretch of the imagination. You know, people that have listened to me on a podcast already know I'm not an expert. We're just, you know, we've played these games far too many times for far too long, and you know, we've picked up information over the years, and have been very lucky enough to know some real experts. And you know, I know I'm just remembering stuff that experts have told me. And I'll mention him again. I know he's.
Excuse me.
Yeah, I know he's a bit of a lurker in the community, but Joel Welsh, some may know, going back many years as Colvin, who spent many years developing very close relationships. This is where this information came from. It's all come directly from the men and women who worked on this game. He developed relationships with the original development team, and they trusted him and respected him enough to impart some very private information and designs and concept art and sketches and things that we've then been very lucky enough to been able to, you know, gift over to you guys. So it's like, you know, yeah, it's one big circle of love. So I sound a bit like a hippie there, but
it's true, because like you got like Welsh and Ridley, and these guys need to come forward and take a bow, like, because I see people posting Ridley's art all the time, and I don't even think they know where it came from. Well, it's these guys, and they should you know, come and take some credit for it, because they did like brilliant work, which, you know, we're all enjoying.
Where is Ridley these days?
Ridley?
Yeah, where is he these days?
I think GT, you might know better about that.
yeah, he's not really in the community much anymore. Anyone that wants to kind of look back at the work that Ridley did will find posts and threads and things that that's up at Project Umbrella. I know. Obviously, he was on the staff. You know, he's on the staff list of Project Umbrella. From Colombia, I am aware that a few years ago he did kind of take a step back from the community.
He lost his like collection, didn't he?
Yeah, his PC, his hard drive was stolen, and that put, obviously, like it would anyone, put
I didn't know that. I did not know that.
Put a huge dent. Oh, one thing I should say actually that he is responsible for, some of our most popular tweets recently have been where we've posted links to collections of scans of Resident Evil magazines, you know, like previews going way back to when Resident Evil 2 was Resident Evil 1.5. And, you know, Ridley put together this enormous database of
this
magazines.
archive.
Yeah. I think you can download the whole thing from Project Umbrella, if I'm not mistaken. But it just literally hundreds of magazines on Resident Evil previews and reviews. Go on almost every one that was in existence. So for example, the article that I wrote on Resident Evil 3.5, there are a lot of magazine scans there. That
I used it from my 4.5 beta article as well.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. So, yeah, if anyone's interested in sort of picking up magazine articles, previews of Resident Evil games, particularly when they're in their beta forms, you know, 3.5, 1.5. Yeah, you can find these magazine scans at crimsonhead.com, crimson dash. Oh man, see, I'll always regret not calling it just crimsonhead.com. It's crimson-head.com. So that's crimson-head.com and projectumbrella.net. You can find all these magazine scans there.
Okay, here we go. Now, GT, are you sure? Are you sure this isn't you?
Isn't me what?
I don't know. I mean, he kind of looks like you. No, just kidding.
Emaciated and skinny after missing bloody lunch and dinner every day for these bloody husky runs. Yeah, this is what I look like when I come back from a 4-hour husky run.
But of course, yes, no. You know, contrary to a quite, I guess, like popular misconception, yeah, George Trevor is really not the Crimson Head Elder. It's just another guy, just a prototype for the virus activation. For what?
Well, I gave the nerdy reason, didn't I? The T-virus didn't exist in '67 when George Trevor perished. So
right, exactly.
Compiling evidence, or unless they like Walt Disneyed him and froze him and then unfroze him and then infected him and then chucked him in there.
Well, I mean, if we go with GT's theory, George Trevor actually escaped the mansion, and maybe they caught him again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. How long later? This is what we're right. Yeah, he's going to have survived right into the '80s, though, wouldn't he?
Yeah.
Oh, Kendo Meme Shop. Okay. Oh no,
George, I'm in the game, Trevor.
it's so great to see you. I hope maybe you've been lurking for a while, but I don't know. Maybe you've just joined us again. I know we stream at a time that makes it difficult for you to tune in. Thank you so much for
What
being
am I?
here.
What am I doing?
Hope you're
I
well.
should just take the
Hope you're
shortcut.
good, sir. How are you? So I think this might be a good moment, sort of good place to draw it to a close soon. And
Yeah, I'm
BSA
gonna leave the
you'll
mansion.
Definitely be back. You'll definitely be back for part 2, won't you?
Yeah. When?
Oh,
Well,
Zombie
next
Girl.
week, or-
Hey. Part of I think still part of Residence of Evil. Yeah, Zombie Girl.
Not
Hey,
anymore.
thanks for
Not
joining us.
anymore, as far as I know. But yeah, that's the joke, though, isn't it, GT? You are essentially the Crimson Head Elder of your brand, and you're George Trevor at the same time. That's kind of like the joke, isn't it? Because they're not one and the same.
But I think you're right there. It kind of alludes to the fact that I just loved the connection. So yeah, I wanted to give that as the name of the website, and I've always been the architect. Yes.
It's great. It's wonderful.
Fallen Lord 84. Hey. We're getting a lot of people joining right at the end. So I'm so sorry to Kendo's Meme Shop, Zombie Girl 880, and Fallen Lord 84. If you have been lurking, hey. And El Goodbye 2M. Hey guys, thanks for the badges. And yeah, we'll be doing part 2 maybe in a week or so. We'll have a little chat behind the scenes and see what we can muster. I mean, again, fantastic job you've done without any notes and any research. You know, we really did drop this on you at the last moment, BSA Arclay, but maybe we'll give you some time to kind of do a bit more investigating and take some notes before we do part 2.
Yeah, I just managed to get through a couple of things, but if I can go through everything, I'll have a lot more for you guys. But
before we got to a close, I mean, was there anything in particular that you guys wanted to add that we may have missed out? While I try and think if I've got anything.
I got a bunch of stuff, but I'll keep it for next time.
Yeah, we'll just keep it for next time. I was going to go up to the next save point, but I could always load that up later.
Yeah, no, John, you can quickly go on to the next save point. Well, while you do that, just very quickly interesting, we can go through the 3 of us while you do that, Sonny.
I was going to say, why don't we just get to Lisa's cabin and save there then? You know.
And I was going to ask people in the chat. It'll be interesting to know, everyone. We can all talk about this because this is a very special game for all of us. For some of us, it may have been the very first Resident Evil game we played. For some of us, it may have been the first Resident Evil game we played that particularly resonated with us. It's the one closest, sort of dearest to my heart, not the first one I played. BS Arclay, sort of how does this fit in terms of, you know, your top 3 Resident Evil games? You know, when did you play this, and you know, how, you know, was this, you know, what was your experience in terms of how this resonated with you when you played it for the first time?
It wasn't my first game. My first game was the original, and then I played 2, and then I stopped gaming because I was a teenager and I was meeting girls and drinking. So I kind of gave up on gaming for a few years, but then I discovered Resident Evil 4.
Now I know where I went wrong. That's what I should have done.
Yeah, I was like with the uni crowd and stuff. So, but I discovered 4. So then I went back and I enjoyed 4, but it didn't like hook me.
That's interesting. So you played 4 before you played Remake. That's interesting.
Yeah, I seen some like my brother used to play them, so I seen bits of it. Like, but and then I played 4, and I was kind of like, oh well, I'll see what I've missed because I played the first 2. So I went back and played 3 and Code, and then Remake, and then I was like, okay, now I'm a fan. So I joined the website Thaya, The Horror is Alive, and then shortly after, that's when I met you. Then so.
And I think well, yes, I think we both share I think with almost everyone else in the chat, possibly. Something I'm very proud, but I wear it proudly like a badge that we've both been banned from the Horror is Alive, haven't we?
Yeah, I got banned for.
You got so unjustifiably banned. Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, you sent me what you wrote. Like, yeah, you were. And
he basically said this is the PS3 game, and I said, nah, it's a Xbox exclusive, and he banned me. permanent.
Permaban.
Directing someone on a console, yeah.
Now I
don't
want
know.
to really quick because you brought this up earlier, BSA Arcway. The graves, the graves
Yeah,
that
there they are.
appear in the in just the outside section to the Crimson Head Elder tomb. What you're saying is that those graves extend all the way out to this graveyard here.
Yeah, the graveyard joins up from the middle of the mansion to the right-hand side of the mansion. So, as you can see, that's pretty vast, and that's just like going right. So, if you go left as well, it could be, there's potentially thousands of graves there.
Yeah, it's very interesting because, like you say, who would these graves be for? Why is there a graveyard like right next to the mansion in the middle of like nowhere in this vast forest? And I mean, I guess the idea would be, why would they even have gravestones if they were burying their own, researchers or their own test subjects or anything like that?
Yeah,
It's a
you'd
very
think they'd,
interesting set piece.
Yeah, you'd think they'd incinerate the subjects. So
Yeah.
maybe like researchers, and I can imagine they went through quite a few, but that looks like thousands.
Well, giving them a proper burial is still a very, very interesting point.
Yeah.
But it is nice.
Like,
It is nice that in this game you get to, like, it's brief and it's still enclosed by like a fence, but you at least get to sort of traverse the Arcway Forest a little bit.
Yeah.
Thank you for
Oh,
your
they-
support, Kendo. Kendo's supporting me. I've got one fan. Thanks, Kendo. Kendo's on my side in the chat.
Well, at least somebody is.
Now, so are you, I mean, because Vacant Flat questioned this. Are you? Is it just kind of sort of something you're kind of considering, BSA Arclay, about the graveyards being connected, or is it something that you discovered when you ripped the game and you got the background textures?
As if you look at the map, they line up. The two graveyards kind of line up opposite each other. And then if you look at the textures that I posted on Twitter, it haven't got the grass. For some reason, the grass is not added on the backgrounds because, like I said, some of that stuff, like things you can interact with, like if you can move on the grass and push the grass, that's added later, so you can see more of the graveyard in the textures I posted.
Yeah.
Someone earlier in the chat, I may have been Nighthawk, sorry if I'm wrong, or maybe it was Vacant Flat, mentioned, that maybe sometimes we can investigate too deeply into the textures, and it kind of ruins the the kind of the illusion of what we're seeing. So that we do see that on the RPD wanted list, it's the Back to the Future cast, and and a really good or kind of bad example of that is in Lisa's cabin, where people from England probably would have noticed this. You've got, I don't know, Lisa must have kind of got about a bit, not just the Spencer Mansion she was roaming around, because there's a copy of the London Underground, our metro system, the London Underground tube map up on her wall. Yeah.
That's, I mean, sometimes it can be good and sometimes it can be bad.
Kind of really breaks, you're kind of really, you've got your headphones on, you've got the curtains closed, the lights are off, you're really getting into it, and then suddenly you see that Lisa Trevor's been to Piccadilly Circus.
I want to draw attention to a very boring detail, probably to everybody else, but interesting to me, that like in these two camera shots right here, it looks to me like if you look up at the sky, this is like where the moonlight is coming down.
Oh, that's lovely.
Possibly.
That shot. Yeah.
I mean, it's interesting to me. Like I said, it might not interest many others here, but I just thought that was like a nice touch, in the background.
No, it is.
Oh yeah, look. So there you go. You got a full moon right there. They actually have a full moon texture right over the cabin.
Well,
tell you the truth, I didn't really look into that.
I was just going to say, I know from one of BSA Arclay's rips of the game that you see that clearly.
Yeah, it removes the trees and stuff.
Yeah.
I did not even actually know that was the moon. I thought it was still like a bright light. I hadn't looked at it in that cabin shot before. Very cool. And then obviously,
see how many times have you played this game, and now you're seeing that. That's what's great about it, right?
Yeah, it's amazing. So you get all these games, honestly, like a lot of these Resident Evil games have so many background things that we may not even be aware of all these years later.
I might be wrong. Did you highlight something on Lisa Trevor's character model, BSA Arkley when you got the texture up, and there was just you could clearly see. So I'm trying to think what it was. Anything particular that we might have noticed about Lisa? No,
I think I just posted her face under the mask. You can see it.
Yeah.
It just looks like two eyeballs and a flat. She hasn't got a nose.
Yeah, because she's got like multiple faces stretched on her body, doesn't she?
Yeah, but underneath her actual face is just almost like a skull.
It's almost, I was going to say, it's almost, you get the jawbone and the eyes and very little else, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's got like no features.
If you go this way,
maybe she tore her own face off.
Well, that actually makes you, that kind of almost makes you think maybe is that why she was tearing off faces as well, to kind of almost, replace for her own. She hated the way that she looked and she was trying to make herself look more,
presentable.
Yeah, as much as you can by having no face and then replacing it with the ripped off face of someone else.
Something that interested me about the Crimson Head Elder being George Trevor theory was this part of this note right here, because you've got if you kind of look at the top like rows of each, like if you were to correlate the row of Daddy and Mommy to the next two rows together, Daddy attached first, inside red and slimy. Mom attached second, white and hard. So red and slimy being the Crimson Head Elder, and white and hard being, Jessica's skull, essentially, that we uncovered later on. But obviously, that was just kind of like an imagination that I kind of like put into it as George Trevor being the Crimson Head Elder, until finally we realized, it's impossible because the T-virus didn't exist by the time of his death. So.
And
anyway,
these people that she's attacking, as we know, are not her parents, but these are stooges, effectively umbrella scientists that Spencer sent in to kind of placate Lisa and make her a lot easier to handle. And obviously, as we know, their impersonation wasn't very successful because Lisa spotted the ruse immediately, as we know.
Yeah, she was a little smarter than they anticipated. But yeah, that I just we've saved here. We've reached Lisa Trevor's cabin.
Awesome.
Well, yeah. Again, I won't repeat myself. Thank you so much to everybody. We'll pick this up again with part 2. Obviously, please keep an eye on our Twitter account. That's Crimson_Head, where we'll update you. BSA Arkley, your Twitter again is.
So at Samurai Edge 85. But you can also search BSA Arkley and find me.
I'm sure Oracle can link that in the chat.
Sorry?
I'm sure that Oracle can link your Twitter in the chat.
There you go, yeah.
Just want to draw attention to the fact that we are now like the viewer count just spiked to like 45.
Oh no!
It's the highest it's been all night.
That's really cool. But what time is it? There must be obviously a particular time. This is to do with time zones. I mean, it's 20 to 1 in the UK here.
Yeah.
I imagine. What time is it over where you are?
It's 20 to 8 here on the East Coast, and it's only 20 to 5 on the West Coast.
I imagine maybe because it's becoming, early evening on the West Coast, so people are getting back from work and stuff, and so this is a good time.
If you want to start later next time, I can do that. It's just like I've been active for like 3 hours now, but maybe next time we can start a bit later, and then.
That's very kind of you. I can definitely start later. Obviously, we'll see who's doing the stream. Whoever's doing the stream at the time, whether it's Sonny or who it is, we'll check that time is fine with them. But I'd be very cool streaming later. And I mean, okay. and to the extra people that came in, thank you very, very much. And I would say, not every stream that we do, people would be interested in rewatching back if it's just a simple playthrough. But BSA Arkley and Sonny Bauer, and with the support of everyone in the chat, have come up with some fantastic information, particularly if you're interested about the beta, the developers, the first incarnations of this game and how it developed and things that have been cut from the game. So please go back and rewatch the video from the beginning, and hopefully you'll enjoy that, and that will inspire you, convince you, enthuse you to tune in for part 2. Thank you.
Yeah, and just for me, I just want to thank everybody who joined the chat tonight, and hung out with us, and it was interesting. I hope you guys learned something. I hope you got something out of this, and I hope you enjoyed it. It was great interacting with all of you, and I just want to make note of I want to thank whoever gifted the subs. I know that Sue's in particular gifted 5.
We had Suze with 5. We the Sphere Hunter, thank you, with 5. We had Nighthawk with 3, and Bloody Eye with 1, I believe. I'm not looking at the stats, but where the figures aren't that relevant. It's just Sphere Hunter, Nighthawk, and Bloody Eye Jerry. Thank you so much for gifting subs. Very, very kind.
And thank you. And I just let's give a round of applause to BSA Arclay for joining us and giving the knowledge tonight.
Thanks for having me, and I hope I made it a bit fun for you guys.
Oh, and Nighthawk just dropped in some bits, 190 bits. Thank you very much. And just very quickly, because I feel terrible for that huge spike in people that have just joined in. This is not shameless self-promotion. I've put a link to our Twitter account there, and so please keep an eye on that for for updates of when we will be streaming and feedback. Please, if it does help you out with the streaming a little bit later, please let us know. I'm a night owl. I can stay up late, so yeah.
Can you upload it to YouTube or something? Is that what you're gonna do?
Well, something that would be a good idea. I think we'll definitely do that. We've tended in the past to only upload to YouTube the streams we've done with the voice actors.
But this is kind of like sort of like a new terrain. So maybe we should upload this one as well.
Yes, definitely. We'll have a playlist for these new lore runs. We're calling Resident Evil Under the Skin, and Nighthawk very quickly was just asking when our Alien versus Resident Evil podcast is coming out, with interviewing actors that have spanned both series. That's coming out this weekend. That will be out Saturday, Sunday, definitely. And I've been promising that for a few weeks. So yeah, that's out this weekend.
All right. Sounds great. Thank you all so much. Thank you again, BSA Arclay, and we will all see you next time. Take care, everybody.
Thank you so much, everyone. It's been a fantastic evening.
Thanks. Bye.